point to the back. We're going to attack. We're deep revenge. We will make it at no point to the back. We're going to attack.
To be left, now I'm back to myself. Who am I to keep on holding you from everything you want? I can see you want to what you want. Who am I to? Who am I? Da, 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 da. Who am I? Da, da, da. Keep you want me to go back in time.
Of the night, evil creatures made of light.
We will discover in the end that our worst foe lies within, within, within. Our worst foe lies within. Our worst foe lies within.
But let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Me see your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up, up, down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. See your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up, up, down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the whole world know. Do something so you only God know. Broke out, make the body up, up, down, body. See your body, girl, it look like whoa. Body up, up, down, body don't need no toe. When I do something so you only God know. Broke out.
It is the final week of group stages, the League of Legends Belong Arena Clash, which means that soon I must bid adieu to my library and come once more to the wonderful studio of the Belong Arenas. I am Stanley Gray Hardbarker, and I am joined by the man who used to be called Isa, but Sin is so much nicer. It is Stuart Sin McLeod.
Welcome back. As you said, last week of groups, it all comes down to this. Everything on the line, whether you make the playoffs or if your season is done. And some noteworthy faces struggling to make that playoff mark at the minute.
They certainly are. Let's have a look how the tables lie going into the last night of group stage action. Here we can see that Group 1 is a little bit interesting because we, of course, have got teams here who have missed out on playing games, which is why you can not see that there is one team who have actually already played all their games. It's because they haven't all played their games and everything is still very much up in the air. And even though the Pirates are looking good in second place, all isn't as comfortable as it seems, is it?
No, currently, unfortunately for them, they've pretty much got to play 2 best-of-3s, and they've got 1 life. If they lose more than 1 game, our defending champion, the team that's won all but 1 of our Belonging Arena Clash splits, won't even make the playoffs, and that could be absolutely devastating. But it's up to the Spartans, and it's up to the Pirates to go at least 4-1 today to hold on to that playoff spot.
Let's have a look what's happening in group number 2. Here we see that the top of the table is being held by the Steelers as it stands. The Smugglers have played all their games and will not be able to increase their score, which means things are looking good for the Lionhearts right now.
And Lionhearts need to at least win 1 game. They're pretty much locked here. Steelers sitting at 3-0 though look really solid, and we'll see if they can round that out with an undefeated record. We got to cast one of their games earlier, and it was so dominant, and I want to see how the Steelers do transition into the playoff mark.
They've been an imposing force during the groups. Will that continue as they look towards the playoffs in Group 3? We can see that the same can be said of the Clyde Claymores.
My boys, the Claymores, sitting at 3-0 as well, hoping to go 4-0, and that will leave us with a couple undefeated teams looking at going into the playoff mark, which could be really exciting, and we hope they don't end up matching up against each other, so we get to that finals point where they could potentially go off against each other in this Titans versus Titans matchup. Without the Titans, we got to say that much.
And we will be seeing a game from this group later on as we see the Saints up against the Brawlers. But now let's look at the table for group number 4. Once again, we see one dominant force, the Leviathans, the Lakeside Leviathans, as they like to be called, because that's their name. And they are top of the group. They are safely into the playoffs. However, just below them, we can see there is still all to play for tonight.
Yeah, Exodus and the gang showing up for the Lakeside Leviathans. They've won 2 of the plays of the week so far as well. So definitely a strong roster, makes some flashy plays. And sitting at 4-0, they definitely deserve to be there. And they've proven worthy of that playoff spot.
Absolutely right, Sin. And that brings us to our games today. They are going to be played on the live patch 9.14. It's the patch that sent League of Legends burning to the ground. And the 2 teams that are going to be playing first are going to be the Cardiff Saints, who have Tibbers, Hampot, Cassie Grosso, Gizmo, and Nikki Titan Rees.
And on the other side, it's going to be Bristol Brawlers with Recollect, Gelatin Skeleton, Ron Maxing, Prince Georgius, and whatever you pronounce that as.
Tifa UK.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
Or Tifaruk.
Tafaruk is better, clearly. Tafaruk.
Okay, well, we're going to be seeing them, as I was saying, bring it back to patch 9.14, because this is, like I say, this is the patch that descended Brimstone and all other manner of ungodly things from the sky.
It's been going great.
It's, I don't know, when I'm playing a game and my Pike kills me and he's on my team, I'm not sure that's my definition of great.
I mean, he gets 600 gold for it, it's worth.
The question is, do I even get an assist on that?
No, because you didn't damage it yourself. An enemy can get an assist on that, which is even funnier, because they get the assist gold and the your cut. You give the your cut to an enemy player.
So what about if I've been playing Mundo and I've just slowly been killing myself?
See, it still doesn't count because it's like the whole thing when you... this actually was a thing before where Tom Kench could kill his allies, where he would be able to spit camps and spit his allies out and it would deal damage to them, where you could like throw your AD carry into a wall and potentially kill them with it, and it would give assists to the enemy that had damaged them most recently.
Yep. It's nice.
But you couldn't get assists on your own teammates other than if you were playing another Tahm Kench.
It's nice that you mentioned Tahm Kench there because he is another of the champions that's had a lot of changes. I think there are around about 30
He's
champions.
a jungler now, boys!
With fairly significant ones. You say he's jungler, that's because he can now eat the blue and the red buff. He's kind of dead as a top laner because of the changes to the applied stacks for his stun and for the eating, the devour. There are so many changes, and as the night goes on, I'm sure that we're going to see champions who are, going to be changed, and we're going to see, we'll come into each of those champions as they get picked during pick and ban.
I do want to talk about Tahm Kench a little bit initially.
Okay,
I do love the changes and how they've done, because the reason I think that he is a jungler now is because they changed the way his passive works, where it used to do 1.5% max health damage to anything that you could stack, and then the second stack would increase it, third stack, and so on. So it would increase in percentage health damage. Now it's just flat 2.5% on anything, meaning anything that can't gain stacks on it. For example, jungle camps, the damage is increased by a whole 1% max HP. It means his clear speed is a lot easier to deal with. The fact that you can eat red and blue buff makes it a lot more comfortable to jungle as well, because you don't have to just auto-attack the buff to death and pray. It's a really interesting situation, and I think he can work, especially with the rotational plays you can make with your ultimate.
I'd love to hear you say that, because Tahm is one of those champions that I absolutely love, especially in terms of the visual design in League of Legends, and I've kind of always wanted to play, but because I main jungle, never really have. So maybe the opportunity is finally here. Speaking of opportunities, we're going to be looking at the Bristol Brawlers and the Cardiff Saints. We saw their lineups just a moment ago. Let's have a little look at what needs to happen for those two teams to make it out of groups. For the Saints right now, things are looking pretty dire. They would need to force a four-way tie for second, essentially. A three-way tie for second, which could only happen, I believe, if the Swarm beat the Harriers. Have I got that right? Is it Swarm against the Harriers? I think, yeah. Basically, short version is the Saints have very, very little chance, but they give themselves some chance if they beat the Brawlers. And at the very least, they can play spoiler, because it means maybe the Harriers go up instead of the Brawlers. So the Brawlers are the ones who have the advantage, but they could lose it if the Saints come in and spoil the party.
Yeah, definitely could just at least try and play spoiler to it, as you say. As a lot of teams, unfortunately, are in that position today where their tournament is over and they just have to try and play spoiler, finish with as good a record as they can, and look to improve for next split.
Certainly true, and they will be looking to do that. And here we go. We can see how they're going to be trying to accomplish it as the pick and bans have begun. Jax is going to be the first champion taken away from the Brawlers.
And then the Kassadin to follow. So just some target bans to start out. Going to be interesting to see how this one goes. But the Annie, just in case.
Well, if you've got a player called Tibbers, I think there's probably one champion you've got to be a little scared of.
Champions that was bugged horrifically yesterday.
What was going on with Annie?
Annie, basically, whenever she fully stacked her stun, it would never go away. So she'd permanently have stun on every single spell.
I think that's an intentional buff, right? Morgana
entirely.
away.
People were playing Annie jungle just because it was so fun, because she always had stun up. You could jungle with her.
Oh, dearie me. Morgana taken away. That's one of the champions that has received one of the changes. Vision now coming through from the Soul Shackles, but we will not have any vision of Morgana on the Rift in this game because it is, of course, banned. Now we get Camille picked up, first of all, by the Cardiff Saints. Bristol Brawlers retaliating with Renekton. He can now absolutely mash through a shield with his empowered W.
I want to check with production, because this looks like it was done in Pro Draft, and we're just seeing the result now, because this is being locked in so fast that... Yeah, this is all Pro Draft, so they're recreating it. We don't know what the first picks and the pick priority was.
That's fair.
However, we do get to see that it is going to be the Camille versus the Renekton in the top lane. Really aggressive matchup back and forth. Can snowball massively in either direction, but Renekton, we know he is the huge snowball champion right now, especially with the changes where he gets to negate shielding. Very effective against Camille, who wants to use that shield right at the start of her traits.
Yep, gets demolish through shields with the empowered W, as you were rightly saying. And now we can see that is going to be a Teemo in the mid lane, and I'm slightly speechless. And so are you! This has gone well.
Teemo mid. Okay, this is the world we live in right now.
In a world where, brimstone and fire are raining from above, then, surely...
the Lord of Hell will rise.
Little Devil Teemo is probably the way forward. That's going to get locked in. Bans obviously coming through. Whether these are the exact bans that were in the game or not, I'm unsure. Lee Sin taken away.
Some of them at the very least.
It makes a lot of sense, especially banning Annie against Tibbers. And now we're going to get to see the second phase of the bans. We get to see which ADCs and supports picked up. There have been a lot of changes coming in, especially to supports in this patch.
Teemo's a tough pick to talk about. Well, let's talk about what we can as a matchup, and it's Sejuani Sylas. As one thing that's going to annoy you when you notice it is always the case in draft and Elite Client. The blue side always has lowercase champions, and the red side always has uppercase champions.
Why would you tell me this?
Because I noticed it, and now you have to as well.
Oh,
that's always the case. It's always been the case.
Teemo mid on my team.
Since the new client came out, this has always been the case. But yeah, this is going to tilt people. Sylas versus Sejuani in the jungle. Sylas generally counters Sejuani. He can trade into her effectively early on and can steal the ultimate. So really high impact ultimates to steal. And his Great Heart's just done. I broke him, chat. It took this long. This is revenge for every single pun that he has made over the last 5 weeks. He deserves this.
No one deserves that. Oh, my OCD cannot handle this. Misfortune is going to come in. We are going to get that one in the bot lane. It's going to be going up against the Caitlyn. Sivir had been banned away. And I'd say Caitlyn's actually an Ezreal. Even with Pro Draft, they still have time to troll the casters.
And what you'll also notice is when it says picking on the blue side, it doesn't have an ellipsis. But when it's on the red side, it does have an ellipsis.
So
this isn't even the game being broken. This is just how it's been for so long.
I'm going to make like the Brawler support and take a moment to recollect myself. And we're going to get to see this game. Pyke is another champion.
Even now, Stan. Even now, you're still trying to tilt me. No.
You done it to me. We are on even footing today, Sin. Oh, man, I can't wait for in summer. This is going to be so much fun to do this in person, too. So let's talk about the Pyke. Pyke now is going to be able to stun up the minions with E, even though the damage has been taken away. Yeah, he's also getting...
What changes the ultimate, which is giga broken, because every kill you get with the ultimate now generates 900 gold plus the basic assist gold, which if you've got 3 or 4 people assisting on it, means he's generating over 1,000 gold per kill. Great champion, guys.
And all of that can go to him if he's the only one doing damage as well. So all of a sudden, he gets his own share, literally, even if no one else is present.
It's a buff to G2. It's like they nerf the champion top lane, and then they go, but if you play it support, it's still incredible. It's just top lane and mid lane. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, it's all about AD assassins at the moment. We haven't seen Quinoa in the Long Arena Clash play just yet, but
she is
still banned away.
She's not banned because she's new. She's banned because she's bugged.
Okay.
I have a team playing at the EBL tonight. They've informed me that both Yuumi and Kiana are permabanned right now. Okay. Yuumi because her Q goes invisible. Kiana because of other bugs where I believe her Q was just broken.
Right. That makes a lot of sense for why we're not seeing it, and we will continue not to see it until at least the knockout stages. Meanwhile, we've talked Pyke. Let's move on to Sylas. You're just starting to talk about the jungle matchup before you decide to so kindly point out the capital letters on the right-hand side of our screen. So let's talk about Sylas. This is a champion who intentionally was changed so he couldn't be a jungle champion, and all of a sudden now we're seeing him here in the jungle for the Cardiff Saints.
No. He was changed so he could be a jungle champion. They nerfed his damage to minions even more and then buffed his Q damage.
Oh, okay.
So they actually made it so they're pigeonholing him into the jungle.
There was a patch around about sort of 4 or 5 patches ago where he was just too strong in the jungle and they changed some things and suddenly he completely wasn't viable with the clear.
It wasn't really the case. Since they've made the changes, like the changes more recently especially, they're just nerfing his damage to lane minions over and over again because they've gone, he needs to be a jungle champion now. He's fine in the jungle. He's not as oppressive in the jungle. And then they nerfed his ultimate cooldown up to 60 seconds at max rank. He's still very viable, but it means he's more got a baseline ultimate rather than it being more about getting an ultimate every 12 seconds, potentially multiple in a fight, can be ridiculous. You just steal the Sejuani's ultimate, engage with it, and then you've got an ultimate on a shorter cooldown than everyone else's, but not that short that it's so oppressive.
That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of things that make sense, a combo that I've not seen for a season or so is Misfortune and Taric together in the bot lane. We've seen a lot of things like Taric and Sona Tahm Kench. Now we're seeing Taric actually paired up with an ADC.
Yeah, Taric, Misfortune. This is actually an interesting one because it's one that used to exist quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think like season 6, this was actually fairly common still, because it's a very strong bully matchup. You keep the Misfortune safe and invulnerable to the point where she just ults and AoE burns down people. But the issue is she is very vulnerable to a Pyke if she does want to start landing those big ultimates. She's very vulnerable to just becoming a sitting duck in that backline when you've got all this dive of Camille, Ahri, Sejuani, and Pyke.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you would make the choice to take the Taric, bring a Cosmic Radiance into the game, and now you've got a little bit of extra safety for that Misfortune. We've talked about the changes to so many of the champions that are in the game today. Do you see a change in fortunes coming for the Bristol Brawlers? Are they going to be able to turn over change in fortunes for the Saints? Will they be able to turn over the Brawlers?
Oh, I'm looking at the red side draft and I'm just looking at how many tools Silas has, and I can't really see past it at the minute, because I've said many times, Silas with Ahri ult is like Ahri if Ahri was actually a champion. Because Ahri right now isn't really a champion. She's just a glacial bot that just uses the fact that she gets these extra spells from items. So the Silas, I think, is going to have a huge impact on this game. He's in a counter jungle matchup. He's got all these tools as a toolkit to utilize. I think he's going to use that to carry the game.
Yeah, you got a valid point there. He's going to be getting the death from buff from Pyke. He's going to have a glacial prison from
Mr. Connery.
Sejuani. I'm trying to think just what else you can take. Hextech Ultimatum.
Yeah, the Hextech Ultimatum
so
can be useful.
Trap people. Yeah, it's definitely good. But while I agree with you that it's hard to look past the Silas, I kind of have to look past the Silas and look to the little Yordle who's standing on the ground hidden behind him. Teemo Midson.
I've been trying to ignore him, but like you say, it's a little bit of a rough matchup because he doesn't really have the wave pressure into Ahri. Ahri should be pushing him in and be able to make roams happen. He's got Cleanse just to be able to survive the fact that the CC lock of an Ahri combo could kill him. You can cleanse the Ignite at the same time, or even just Sejuani walking mid will murder him. So he's really got to show a high mastery of the champions for it to even be a mildly viable pick.
Oh, okay, well, we are going to be bringing it into game just as soon as all that action starts up. We'll get the chance to see whether or not this draft that the Brawlers have put together is enough to take down the Saints.
And here we go. So we see a 5-man stack, and both sides literally parallel.
Sides of the river.
This is the mirror matchup perfectly here. I'm loving it.
See, what I love that's going to happen now is that we're about to watch the blue side go all the way as a 5-man into the opposition jungle and find absolutely Jackal.
But they're going to get some wards. That's obviously the most important part. It's early game vision.
It is indeed early game vision, and we are going to see two people. That's going to be the Taric and the Misfortune starting to make their way bot lane. Just imagine for a moment if that 5-man stack had waited in the Death Bush. That could have been such bad news for the Saints.
Yeah. I did see the Brawlers did ban Amumu as the last ban. I love the idea of potentially the Curse of the Sad Bullet time. Yeah, the Curse of the Sad Bullet time coming through. Old Season 2 throwback. In
Thor agrees with you. Yeah.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, we do see the man who is proving difficult to pronounce, Teferi, taking away his red buffers up in the top side. Gizmo is doing the same.
Thor is angry.
He really is. I think he's upset he didn't get to be on the stream today. He said, you know what, I've had a bath recently. You know, my fur is looking absolutely pristine. Can I come on? I said, no, Thor. If I did that, I'd have to bring Loki on. If Loki comes on, then, you know, next thing we know, you know, there are gerbils involved, and it just gets complicated. So
you say gerbils,
Thor's
but we're looking at mid lane. That's exactly what we got here.
Tivers is playing himself an oversized gerbil with a poison dart pipe.
I mean, like, at what point, like, it feels like all the male Yordles are just furballs, complete furballs, and all the female ones, they actually try and make look humanoid, but Tibbers already going low, having to use the cleanse and the flash, cleansing the ignite like we were saying earlier. Nice
use of the ignite there. Meanwhile, we do see Recollect caught slightly the wrong side. Here comes Teferi. It's gonna be... oh my gosh.
It's Dark Harvest Taric.
What? I spotted that and I was like, surely that's not right. But it is. That is Taric flashing away, not getting himself a Dark Harvest stack.
He got one onto the Pyke a minute ago, so he's still got his first Dark Harvest in the middle lane.
Meanwhile, Gizmo comes in, he gets the Kingslayer down, and it is going to be the blind, the poison, ticking down the Ahri. Teemo getting a nice, easy first blood. That's not something I've said in a very, very long time.
And it's a nice confirmation that the Electrocute works as Teemo picks up the first blood with it. The E damage helping him proc that rather quickly. As Hampot trying to go really aggressive in the top side, evens out that trade even when he has to go to the edge of tower to do that.
Yeah,
but the Teemo, getting the first blood is huge because this means that the laning phase can go a lot smoother for him. He has a bit of pressure where he can maybe even find 1v1 potential once he starts to get a couple items, but the Ahri still has that mobility when she gets to 6 to the point where I'm really going to struggle to see Teemo have anywhere near as strong an impact.
Watching what this Renekton is doing in the top lane is really everything that I hate to see about the champion. It's just so abusive. It can be down 50% of its health against a full health opposition and just stick around and continue to bully things. Finally, we do see Rumang. How do I pronounce that? Rumancing? We see TWT continuing to try to make the best of the top lane despite getting pushed in by Hampot.
Team White Tactics? I don't know. It's not TFT.
TFT. Have you done your rank placements yet?
Yes, I got bronze 1 when I was done with my placements.
That is literally as high as you can possibly get. And speaking of getting as high as you possibly can get, the Brawlers trying to get themselves onto the scoreboard quickly. Cassie Grosso is going to drop down. No Dark Harvest procs for him this time.
Just going 1-1 so far. The Ezreal using this lane oppression that you should have when you're playing Ezreal Pike into a Misfortune to be able to get that one. And a nice gank from Teferic or Tefar UK, whatever we're going to choose to call him. We need to decide on one.
Well, TWT finding himself in a little bit of trouble. He dashes away, able to use that hookshot to pull himself out of Gizmo's grasp.
But now you can see just what the Ahri can do with the fact that she's got this oppressive wave clear. Just shove in the wave, force the Teemo directly under his tower, and really just deny him as much CS, deny him experience if she can, and then be able to roam and make things happen. Where right now she's going to go and pick up a blue buff with the absolute freedom and timing to do so.
Certainly will. Sejuani going to help out with that one. Meanwhile, looking at the CS numbers across the map, things are relatively even. Sylas getting a bit of an advantage in the jungle. However, the fact that Sejuani picks that buff up for herself instead of planting it over to Ahri does mean that Sej can still stay near even to the Sylas. Meanwhile, the trades continue in the top lane. You must imagine that it's only a matter of time before we see a solo kill for one top laner or the other.
Yeah, but Hampot having to back off when he sees that little proc. As the Sejuani jumps over the wall, going to be able to just walk away, not risk his own life, as this top lane matchup seems to be the crux of the entire game. Whichever way it swings will balloon the game in one direction or the other. And right now I feel like it's the Renekton that's looking more likely to pick it up unless Tefar UK decides to focus this top side.
Yeah, very hard to disagree there, to be honest, Sin. And the way that both of these players are going at it, I think they know that so much is on their shoulders right now. And both of them is really looking to get that early advantage. Camille has got slightly more in terms of a CS lead, and now he's going very aggressive. Both these champions still missing level 6. We do see TWT taking a lot of damage from the minions, but has got Teferic waiting in the wings. Sylas is slowly coming up the river. Will we see the full fight? Hextech Ultimatum is issued. Hampot completely stuck inside of that zone, has now got ultimate available, uses the Dominus, forces the flash out of TWT. Now Teferic sent running away from Gizmo, looking to get
this could be double.
Look at that double damage. Gizmo picks up 1 kill, the other one goes to Hampot. A 2-0 to the Cardiff Saints, and that's the exact thing that Brawlers did not want to happen.
They tried to force a 2v2, but they rush it too quickly, trying to greed onto the Renekton, who turns it around. He hits level 6 during the play to help him pick that one up, and that's going to be 2 quick kills over to the top side, and like we said, it's going to swing rapidly towards them.
The timing on those 2 level 6s hitting the Dominus after the Hextech Ultimatum was so crucial there.
And this level difference in the jungle as well is absolutely huge in that. Because Tefar UK, all he can provide is the CC to try and let Camille 1v1. But if Camille isn't the stronger of the two already, if she isn't already able to 1v1 the Renekton, it's so difficult to win a 2v2.
And meanwhile, we can see that the Cardiff Saints, despite being low down in the table, have taken the advantage in this game. And it looks like the Brawlers are trying to strike back, getting the stun out of this pipe. Now we do see Ignite put down onto the Misfortune, going lower and lower and lower, but Recollect once more. Stent running away from this Ezreal, who's ignited and absolutely dead. Nick Titan getting that kill for himself. All the hard work, however, was done by the Taric.
Yeah, and Taric showing why this champion has been played with the Sonos so often. You're keeping a mobile carry that much safer with all those heals, with all those stuns and shields. Everything adds up to make your laner just that much more effectively tanky. And it's going to get Nick Titan through this laning phase.
It will indeed. Speaking of the laning phase, definitely going in favour of Hampot now. He's already completed that Tiamat, so he's able to eat through the minions that little bit quicker.
Okay, so this speaks to a lot more of the 1v1 matchup where you go for the team out early. Generally, what we're seeing more and more from Renekton players is you go for that Spiritogen, you go for the ability to not only force 1v1s harder in terms of all-ins, but force team fights better as well, because you get multiple rotations in, you can stay in that fight for longer, you can heal up more. But instead, just having this team out to force in the wave to be able to get that much more pressure onto the Camille and try and balloon his lead before he tries to go in for the all-in potential.
Our first major completed item is now on the board. Ezreal already getting that Mirror Mana courtesy of having that Kleptomancy and all the extra gold he can take. Meanwhile, we see Sylas stealing away the Pike ult, saving that one for a rainy day. That rainy day may come soon in the form of a Fire Dragon.
Well, that's one of the changes to Sylas. They made it so that ultimate doesn't last anywhere near as long in his pocket. It used to last 90 seconds, now it lasts 60. So he has to use that fairly soon afterwards. It puts a lot more pressure on him when he steals these ultimates, not to just use them to dissuade fights, but to force them.
So Sylas might even try to do that in the mid lane. However, he's going to walk straight over a control ward and only be able to clear out the vision. That Infernal Dragon Pit is double control warded at the moment, one from each team.
Yeah, this dragon could be very crucial to the game, but Taric lands a big stun.
Well, you know what? If kills go down in the bottom lane, that could lead to the dragon. We see the dash forward, the Kingslayer is issued. Gizmo is going to be being kept alive. He uses the Pike ultimate, however, he then gets flipped by Stead Pike. He gets taken down by the very ultimate he had just used, the Death from above, claiming 2 victims on opposite sides of the map.
But you see how much gold that generated into the pocket of the Taric. Gets so much gold from that, and Teemo now flanking the Sejuani.
I'm really not too sure what Sejuani is doing here, starting up that dragon,
shroom.
despite the fact that it was completely control warded. The vision was there. Teemo walks across over Taric and Misfortune. A free kill was picked up by Tibbers, and that was just complete mispositioning from the Sejuani.
Yeah, she buys into the fight, but she still keeps fighting, even when she walks over 2 separate shrooms. And you see the Teemo damage actually mattering here. Now 2-0, finds a kill for himself on a nice rotation. We expected Ari to be the one making those rotations, so I gotta say I'm impressed.
Cassie Grosso clears out the final control ward that remained in the Dragon Pit and then puts one down in its place, and that does mean that full vision control now has gone over to the Cardiff Saints. They've got themselves a 6-2 kill lead. They've got a 1,500 gold lead as well, and surely they will be looking to try and apply pressure by accentuating all that damage if they can get an Infernal Dragon.
You got to think, though, this top lane has to be a focus pretty soon, though. Once the dragon goes down, now that the Rift Herald has spawned in the top side, if they want to be sending the junglers up there, maybe even sending the bot lane up there, the Rift Herald could balloon this top lane even further.
Both junglers are indeed topside, but it's Teferic who actually gets their first Hextech ultimatum issue. But look at the damage Amport has. He almost manages the 2v1. Instead, he doesn't pick up a single kill, instead giving up his life. Gizmo is going to be able to pick up the Sejuani ultimate, throw it straight down onto the Camille. Really beautiful timing. Gizmo able to pick it up, make it a 1-for-1 as both top laners are going to die. We do see Pike's Harpoon picking Nick back a little bit, but Misfortune just able to strut away from that.
Teemo's heading down towards his bot side. He wants a flank.
He's not going to get spotted by any vision either, so let's see if he can get himself in behind. He's going to be a speedy boy as well. Taric knows something's up, and he's coming in to help out the Teemo. Ezreal completely caught out, uses that absolutely perfectly.
Oh no, he's minion blocked.
Taking him just perfectly across the wall. I honestly didn't think he could make it across that gap.
Yeah, really nice E, picture perfect to make sure he gets the fat flash, but uses his E instead. And Tibbers, though, he gets minion blocked on the back side of that, so he can't quite pick it up.
Oh, the Kakoma ward there being brutally destroyed by Teemo. You hate to see that.
I mean though, do you?
I love that ward. It's like my second favourite ward in the entire game.
I mean, Koma's a coach that is obviously incredibly successful, but like I've always hated his mentality towards drafting, where it's like, if a draft doesn't work, it's the team's fault. Let's do it again. And he does it over and over again until they win a game with it, and then we'll switch up.
Yeah, you have a valid point there, and as a coach yourself, I will certainly respect your opinion, but it's hard to argue with a man who's had such incredible success.
Yeah. It's just when the team is in a slump, it's always off the back of his drafts.
Well, a slump may be what the Bristol Brawlers are currently having. Of course, remember, they really need to win this game to secure their place in the playoffs. The Saints, however, are on the front foot. They've just taken an Infernal Dragon, and that's going to boost their damage output even more. Extra damage for Renekton, extra damage for Sylas, extra damage for Teemo, extra damage for Misfortune, hell, even extra damage for Taric.
And that's the snowball rolling, and what we need to see now, though, is them utilize this top lane advantage that they've got, the fact that Renekton is so terrifying, to get the Rift Herald, to try and get something down, maybe even before the 14-minute mark, especially if he could get a kill here.
Ampot throwing the Dominus down, flashing the flash away from the turret from TWT, then the Hextech ultimatum. Continued
So
turret
close.
shots raining down on Ampot, and he has been outplayed! It's going to be Rumang Singh getting himself a solo kill. I honestly thought it was the worst flash in the history of flashes as he flashed away from his turret, but it was all calculated.
But what the question is, who did he outplay? Was it the Camille outplaying him, or did he outplay himself?
That's a great question. Hextech ultimatum this time being used by Gizmo as he tries to get a kill, but he is going to get a kill. I was going to say he dies because of the Sejuani ultimate, and in the end he does, but not before picking up the kill onto TWT. Once again, another trade up in the top lane. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, the fights continue. The flip is used as Pyke goes invisible, stepping away from the bullet time.
Bullet time a little bit maybe questionable there, as he fires that out into nothing, but the bot lane is going down quite far in CS, and this is what you expect now when you see a Misfortune lane into the current meta, into the current matchups. This is what happens more and more often.
And we have seen the turret plating fall off just a moment or two ago. That arcade turret with its lovely riven sword is still standing, but only half health remains, which just goes to show how much turret plating the Bristol Brawlers were able to take. And it's fair to say Ezreal has a hefty gold lead. Not only has he got the completed item already, in comparison to Misfortune, who's coming back with just a semblance of items, he's got a 40 CS lead to go on top of his kill, to go on top of the Kleptomancy, to go on top of the turret plating, and even though the top lane is going so well for the Cardiff Saints, the bot lane belongs to the Brawlers.
But now with Camille getting that kill and an assist in the top side, it's opened up the map massively for her. It's mean that she can look to make plays. She can actually fight the Renekton as, wow, you're seeing the Ahri being forced off in the mid lane just because of all these traps that she has to clear.
It's not been as easy a game for the Ahri as I kind of expected it to be, and it's certainly not that easy for Hampot right now. Look how much health he just got back by using the Dominus, but I don't think it's going to be enough. This time, not a 1-for-1 in the top lane, instead a pure 1-for-0 in the 2v1. Flash used by Tibbers as he sees Pyke arrive. That was a cleverly laid plan by Tibbers, however, the nice rotation from Recollect was enough to force him off.
And Tifa UK finally using that advantage she's got in the 2v2 to be able to force these plays quickly. Now he's caught up in levels, only one level down on Gizmo, almost equaling out that gold by the amount of kills he's managed to get up to the top side. Means that Camille is under a lot less threat. She can now suddenly win those 1v1s.
Charm lands onto Gizmo, the Ignite is put down, the Sejuani ultimate will come in after the flash, and that is going to be a nice easy kill for the Ahri. I say easy, she had to use both of her summoners for the privilege, but she gets it, and now she has started to climb a little bit back, trying to get herself level with the team on items. Just completed the Luden's Echo to go opposite the Liandry's.
And now it's really looking to be the window in which Ahri can punish. If she lands an E, she's pretty much got kill pressure at any point onto Tibbers. He already has to burn the Cleanser Flash so often, but
You want to talk about kill pressure? Look at the Gelatin Skeleton! He's absolutely raining Mystic shots down. Now he throws the True Shot Barrage out. He's got himself one kill. Sejuani wants the other. The Cosmic Radiance used by the Tarek. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Hampot going at it with TWT one more time.
God.
Look
He's
how
all but
caught
dead.
Tarek is. He's already dodged away from the WB. He's taken a Mystic shot. He's taken a death from above, and that's going to be another kill in the bot lane. This one going to Pyke as he shares the gold with his ADC.
And that's a 900 gold kill for the bot lane, and suddenly the gold lead goes from about 1.5k in the Saints' favor to all the way at 3.5k in the advantage of the Brawlers. And all these plays back to back being made, this is what they needed to find with their mid-game pressure, with their mid-game focused picks they can make. And now it's looking to shut Renekton out of the game pretty early. Teemo not really having the impact he desired either.
And I really love what T-Ferric's been doing, because he's actually found a way, despite having gone behind. I believe there was a point where he was 0-1 or 0-2, and the Sylas was 3-1. He's found a way to turn that around. Clever ganking in the top lane, making the plays in the bot lane. He's absolutely helping everyone and helping himself in the process.
Because he had been falling behind in camps, as is the matchup. Sylas does win it out generally, but because he's been able to make all these plays consistently, not having to rely on an ultimate cooldown so much as Sylas rather, he's just been finding these advantages in the right places, right times, big engages.
Second dragon has spawned on the Rift. This time it is a Mountain to go alongside the Cardiff Saints already had. Meanwhile, Dive in the top lane, the Hextech ultimate.
Oh no!
Really, really badly. We saw one outplay by Runangsing in the top lane before. This time he well and truly did outplay himself, locking himself in a zone he did not want to be in.
And finally, the Renekton turns that matchup back in his favor. It's been swinging back and forth so rapidly, but the play happens in the mid side where Tibbers goes down as well, still not having the cleanse up, and you can see why he had to go this cleanse in the first place. It's so easy for them to lock him down and get a kill as an immobile as hell champion.
So looking back into the mid lane, we can see the one matchup that is staying fairly even. The CS lead is still there for the Ahri, but we've got the kill advantage for the Teemo.
And Teemo still falling behind in gold, you have to say, with a 25 nearly CS down, and this TP in the bot side should be the death of misfortune.
Yeah, Nick Titan stepping up way beyond where was comfortable. No turret to fall back on, no chance to stream away. Strut away.
Yeah,
I said stream.
The Bristol Brawlers, this went from a really rough early game to suddenly them looking nigh unbeatable in the mid.
They certainly do, but one thing that is in trouble is Gizmo. He had such a great early game, but now the 4-man gank squad catches him out as he tries to start up this Mountain Dragon. This one goes over free and easy to the Bristol Brawlers. They will now be able to take out the objective so much easily.
And Pyke is getting ultimate kills on cooldown, and if you think his ultimate is roughly a 70-second cooldown, and he's getting a kill with it around that time, that's 1,000 gold every minute, a minute and a half-ish. It's looking incredible for the amount of damage he can do to the enemy team, where he just adds up this gold lead. As we say, every single time it's ballooned from now 3k to 4k. Think about it, it's the Pyke that's having that impact. He's giving all this extra gold to the Ezreal. He's putting all this extra gold in his own pocket to the point where he's able to go for the Yomus this early.
Oh no, looking at Nick Titan getting caught out again. Again, no turret fall back on. Again, throwing out a bullet time. And oh, that's playing with your food. Pinzanthi getting a nice easy kill. Stepping there, watching the bullet time stream past his face. And then going bing, like Neo from the
Finally
Matrix.
found a use for the word stream. It worked this time.
No, I'm not saying that. So we can see that the advantage has well and truly been gained by the Bristol Brawlers, now over 4,000 gold in the lead despite their early disadvantages. The setbacks were there as the Cardiff Saints looked so very strong, but the Bristol Brawlers really starting to show their class.
And Bristol, they turned it on. It was that kind of window that they needed to utilize, levels 9 to 11-ish, that kind of mid-game point where they've just started to get the first item spikes, and a Teemo is not going to have anywhere near as much impact as an Ahri. That's where you needed to utilize it. And it's the Ahri that has held down this mid lane well enough to the point where everybody's had to center around that. Meanwhile, Tifa UK, Tefarak, whatever you want to call it, has been impacting this map so effectively to the point where every single lane has gotten ahead.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And credit to you. You always said that the Ahri would have that advantage over the Teemo, but massive credit.
I mean, it's not really credit to me. It's credit to them for actually picking a mid laner who does mid lane things.
I mean, credit to you for recognizing that should happen. And certainly credit to him for executing it well. But you know, you called it, and I like to
credit for saying people die when they are killed.
You know what? I'd be calling you out if it had gone horribly wrong, so I'm going to give you credit when it didn't. So, meanwhile, Gizmo having to step away, Pyke landing more and more of these bone skewers, and that will mean danger the later this game gets and the more damage he gets.
It was so hard to look at because you're looking at a Teemo and he gets first blood. You're like, yeah, what is he going to do with that first blood? And I'm thinking, honestly, the answer's nothing. It's not even going to affect his lane matchup. He'd still lose even if he was 3-0. It's really rough to try and look at as a champion.
So the later this game goes, what do the Cardiff Saints have to fall back on? Because they've definitely won the early game, lost the mid game, and we're stepping closer and closer towards the late game, the end game. And, you know, it's the Bristol Brawlers games to win right now because it's their sort of being presented to them with the way that they've been able to dominate in mid. What do the Cardiff Saints need to do the later this game goes?
Okay, it's the 3 Bs that they got to think about here. It's the big, beefy boys. It's got to be Renekton and Sylas with a Tarak ultimate on top of them, diving the enemy backline and a Misfortune ult to shred everybody over the top of it, especially if she's able to get to like a Black Cleaver, especially later on, they can get to a point where she's shredding everybody, and then these two huge damage dealers are just buying enough space for her to not be interrupted during that ultimate. If they can do that, they can win these fights consistently, but it takes a lot of setup to get to that point of the game.
I've got to ask the question, is the 4th B relevant at all? BMO. He's in this game, and, you know, he's going to have the option to throw that blinding dart at the Ezreal, you know, negate a little bit of the damage that will be coming out of
but
that.
The Q is most of his DPS, even so. It's normally so good against most AD carries, but when you've got an Ezreal who's so spell-based, being blinded doesn't matter.
Oh, being blinded doesn't matter, but being stunned up does. It's going to be a nice flash from Gizmo. He manages to dodge away from the True Shot Barrage as well. I do feel like Cardiff Saints were very, very lucky not to lose any members there. Had they lost their jungler, you would expect the Baron to have been taken down immediately. It's still very well maybe, because obviously Silas now will have to complete his recall, and immediately we see the Brawlers turn their attention towards the Baron.
And you can see that the Warmog should now be active for Tifa, as he's now got a load of health. He should be able to just go in and engage so aggressively, knowing that he can just regen that health immediately afterwards. He doesn't need a healer like a Tarek when he has an item that does that for him. He's not really got any tank stats, but when you've got 3k health and nobody can deal that damage, it's free.
It really is. I've got a bit of a delay here, so if you can see the action going on, please.
Unfortunately not, but all the same, built up this huge lead seemingly out of nowhere.
Speaking of out of nowhere, the Cardiff Saints are fighting back. They've got a 1-for-1 so far. Ezreal did manage to take down the Renekton. One of the big beefy boys is dead, but Silas already picked up a kill. Now Camille looking maybe to issue the Hextech ultimatum, using it on towards the turret. Maybe not the target you want to go for, not picking up the second kill yet, but Gelatin Skeleton is there, picking off the snipe, throwing down the True Shot Barrage, making it a double kill as Gizmo is going to get a kill, but it's going to be Ezreal taking down BMO. Now looking to try and get himself a triple, and with that beautiful taunt landing from the Ahri, it is indeed going to be a triple for that man Ezreal. He lands a Mystic Shot on towards Gizmo. Will he look for the Quadra? I'm pretty sure that Ezreal is happy with his lot for now. Remember, Infernal Dragon is on the table, so this will be a nice equalizer for the Bristol Brawlers.
And they've already got that mounted as well, so playing around objectives does become that much easier, but you saw in that fight the strength of the Camille and the strength of the Ezreal. The Camille, her E cooldown was so instrumental. Every single E she was using to aggress in, and the team was synergizing around that. Whenever she wanted to go in, she called it out, and they all went in together. They were all trying to find those burst combos together, and that gave the Ezreal a window to pick up 3 kills in the fight, and now become such a menacing carry. 3 items to not even the completed 2 from Nyx Titan.
While Sejuani starts up this Infernal Dragon, there is a little bit of vision here, but there is no jungler even close to nearby, so this will be a second uncontested dragon for the Bristol Brawlers. They get themselves the Infernal. They now have the extra damage output that the Cardiff Saints picked up so early on in the game.
We're seeing what's rather interesting here, the fact that Gizmo has had such a lack of impact since his early game aggression, and we know that Silas now is a very much early game centric champ. He needs to snowball through those early phases, getting a lot of kills for himself to be more effective than a lot of these tankier, more engage-heavy junglers. But he's got this whole toolkit in front of him of ultimates he can use, big engages he can find, and he's just not been a playmaker like the Sejuani has, and that's been really to his detriment, as he needed to get his lanes back into this. And Sejuani, like we've said multiple times now, won the lanes for her team. They should have lost top lane organically. She won that lane for them. They win the mid lane organically, but the bot lane snowballed so far ahead because of her impact.
Sid, do you think it's fair to say that on the back of massive patches like we received yesterday, where so many champions have been played, and so much about all of these champions is essentially changing all around you, is it fair that occasionally you're going to get surprised by something? You know, even at these players who are playing at a reasonably high level, not all of them, you know, we know everything about patch 9.14 because it's our job to know it. We have to go and check up and make sure that we're up to date with things, and even then we still miss things. I know I do, I don't know about you, but these players, they're surely not going to know individually what every single change is, you know, all the AD ratios, all the timings, and all the spells that have changed.
I mean, when you're gonna play Silas, I think you have to be aware of the changes. And when there was this much of a kerfuffle, when there was this much of a kerfuffle around the around the champs in the patch, I think you have to be aware of what happened in the patch.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just think it's one thing to be playing a champion and to know it's changed. I think it's another thing to go up against a champion and then to go, whoa, where's my shield gone? How does Renekton remove that?
Even so, this is a matchup that organically Renekton wins, and instead Camille has been winning it because of the 2v2 pressure.
Well, this is a straight-out 1v1. This is Dominus versus Hextech Ultimatum, but we're not going to see that because the charm lands onto Tarek in the mid lane. He gets pulled back
there
and
he
gets
goes.
taken down. Gelatin Skeleton is now completely godlike. 8-2 and 2 on this Ezreal. Earlier on, he made a bit of a play that he maybe would hope would be a bit of a play of the day. We'll see whether or not.
600 gold in Pyke's pocket right now, though.
Oh.
That is juicy. That is the juiciest of gold right there. I want him to pop it. There it is. There it goes. Oh, it's beautiful. It's like when you get a bag of gold in lane from Kleptomancy, do you use it instantly?
No, of course not.
I always use it instantly. Always.
Oh no, you've got to save those moments.
No, you don't.
The feeling of getting to pop that is the opposite feeling to how I felt when I realised there were capital letters in Champ Select.
You get 110 gold from instantly popping it, and then you just go, I'm popping off, guys, let's go, and you run it. And you kill them because you get hypey. This is what League's about. You get hypey. There's hypey players, there's hypey plays, and getting 110 gold from a Kleptomancy bag of gold is a hypey play.
Well, Gelatin Skeleton, who's received a lot of those bags of gold, has just received a huge amount of damage, taking that poison dart straight to the back of the head as he tried to arcane shift to safety. The poison isn't quite going to tick him down. He gets away for now.
Yeah, he needs to build some magic resistance more than those Mercury threads by the looks of it. This is a huge amount of burst that can be put down to him if he does misstep even slightly. Being level 13, you'd expect him to maybe have a little bit more survivability, but because of this heavy AP comp, less so around the AD, his Iceborne Gauntlet isn't going to save him.
Interesting little fact there is that Hampot has got the highest CS in the game at 228. However, all three of the main carries, not counting Pyke, who can be a carry in his own right, all three of the main carries for the Bristol Brawlers have got at least 30 CS more than the next highest person for the Cardiff Saints.
I think it's really interesting here that the Pyke did go for that Youmuu's going Duskblade first, but the Pyke still almost about to get his second lethality item this early on for a support is still really impressive, and he's going to be doing a ton of work because of it.
It's surely going to be a terrifying situation for the Cardiff Saints to find themselves in, not only finding themselves 7,000 gold behind, but also having one of the most frustrating champions in the game, not only to try and kill, but to try and stay alive against. Speaking of staying alive, it's not something that Casagrosso is going to be able to do unless he can perfectly flash over the wall to safety, and that's just what he did.
And it's not really a question of how do they close this game. It's a question of when right now, because they are so far ahead that it's become near impossibility for the side of Cardiff Saints to win a fight. There's so much sustain, there's so much damage, and all these different threats on top of the fact that they've got all this pressure in difference between champions is meaning that they're just able to win fights so consistently that they force a TP from Renekton and just back away, knowing that TP's gone. They don't have to play around it anymore.
And Camille will have the TP up, so he'll be able to return nice and easily. The ultimate was stolen there by Gizmo. Was the Sejuani ult, but it was thrown completely wide, going full Smithy. One of the things I do have to say is, while I completely agree with you that it seems like this Bristol Brawlers, Bristol Brawlers are just going to wrap this up and it's a matter of time, I see one way that they completely throw the game, and it is at Baron. If they go for a risky, almost 50-50 Baron up against the Smite of Gizmo, up against the bullet time from Nick Titan, then maybe, just maybe, this game could turn on its head.
They want to try and stop them at the Cloud Dragon, but they're giving up full positioning onto the Baron here, and they may end up worrying that they're going to be giving this one up for free if they stay much longer. They have to face check.
Oh, True Shot Barrage calling the bluff there. Ricardo Saints. Look how low Nick Titan is going into this fight, but look how low Camille is now. The answer is she is 0 health. That's going to be Timo getting the kill on the back of the bullet time. Meanwhile, Dominus issued by Hampot as he dashes in, dashes out, gets away from the turret shot, and a 2-for-0 goes in favour of the Cardiff Saints. They find themselves an opening into this game.
They find themselves a bait as the Camille jumps in. She gets caught out by the 3 people sitting in a brush behind her that they weren't respecting, as they had to just wait it out. They had the positioning on Baron. They had the wave clear sitting mid lane. If they just use the fact that they have to face check onto Baron to see if you're doing it, to then force a fight on their own terms, they win that, but instead they overforce, they over-aggress. The Camille gets caught out and recollect. He gets finished off by Gizmo.
But now at 32 minutes, even though 2 kills were picked up by the Cardiff Saints, what did they gain from it apart from a shutdown? Not a lot. They weren't able to push a turret, they couldn't take a neutral objective. In the end, the game is just pretty much as it was, with a little bit more gold in the Cardiff Saints' pocket and a little more confidence that they can get kills.
And there's definitely windows for them to get back into the game here now because of these mistakes being made by Bristol. And now the fact that you can see this Camille start to struggle a bit more, and the Renekton maybe looking to get to a point where he can outscale completely, means that that side lane is becoming harder and harder to win. For the Camille, you can just start to play. We can just survive the 4v4, and then Renekton will win out the side lane, and it forces Brawlers to then force a fight, to have to over-aggress to make a fight happen. And that means then that if you can disengage, if you have the Taric ultimate to survive that, you just win a side lane. You can potentially get a tower on a side lane, and that's your windows back into this.
Oh, I'd love to know your thoughts on a particular idea I have about Vision, but right now we have to look at Gelatin Skeleton, not only using the Arcane Shift, but also having to flash away as Teemo got closer and closer. Tibbers did return flash as well, so Teemo will be missing the summoner spell as we move towards the next fight. Camille, who didn't burn that teleport earlier as we went towards the Baron fight, has still got teleport available, is continuing the split push in the bot lane.
Yeah, and the fact that she gets that wave pushed in means that the Cardiff Saints have to go and respond to it, and it gives them the positioning on mid lane and on Baron that they wanted, because the Renekton is there without TP. This is the window to go, but instead they're the ones being engaged on.
This is going to be Gizmo going straight in, stole away the Pyke ultimate, and used it to remove the 8-2-2 Ezreal, who is now an 8-3-2 Ezreal. Massive gold bounty secured, key ADC missing, and now the Cardiff Saints turn. They have confidence, they've won the last two fights. That one wasn't even a fight, it was just an excellent pickup. That is going to be the charm, going just wide of Kasugrosu. The pullback is going to land from the Bone Skewer, but the Baron has already been started up. The Cardiff Saints are going big or going home.
That was a huge shutdown as he got 1100 gold and the snowball gold from the Pyke ultimate as well. This is their window, this is their opportunity to capitalize. They just have to be careful on this Baron.
Can't see quite how low the Baron's health is right now, but it must be pretty low as we see the Camille going in. That's going to be 3,500 health left from the Baron, but look at the low health bars. That's all that Recollect needs to see. He goes in, he gets one, but he gets taken down. Sejuani comes in, steals away the Baron, picks it up for the Bristol Brawlers. Everything goes wrong for the Saints, and now the Hextech Ultimatum is there, picking up a kill. Yes, we are going to see only 2 members surviving for the Bristol Brawlers, getting themselves the Baron buff, but they stop the Saints' comeback.
And they get 2 Baron buffs crucially as well, as a really rough fight ensues, very close back and forth.
Actually, Ezreal didn't get it, so they only got 1.
He hadn't respawned at the time, so only on the Ahri, but the fact that the Sejuani was able to stay alive through that misfortune, as she was DPSing down the Baron with her ultimate, it meant that they couldn't go, let's turn off of Baron and fight. They had to commit to trying to take it when it was just being burned down and they had no way of stopping it.
Gelatin Skeleton getting quite close there to stealing away a Cloud Dragon. That will be the final dragon that comes onto the Rift before the Elder Dragon. We've passed the 35-minute mark already. If that dragon spawns and the game has gone past the 40-minute mark, what do you think the state of the game will be? Will it still be the Bristol Brawlers looking to just crush the base of the Saints?
They've still got these late-game carries in the Ezreal and the Camille. They can still try and utilize that, but this Sylas is terrifying. 12-4, he can burst anyone if he gets into range of them, and especially when you got these AP ratio buffs on the most recent patch, it's even more terrifying to think about compared to the previous.
I completely agree with you, because no matter how much we keep on saying Sylas falls off late, if you've got that many kills, you've got that much itemization, of course you are going to be a threat.
He's got the 30 magic pen and the void stuff, so it all adds up. He's got all this utility. He's got the Zhonya's as well at 12-4. If you just don't have enough magic resistance, which, let's be real, the side of Brawlers don't, you're going to get busted to all hell.
Well, Pyke ult has once again been stolen. Nice use of the Arcane Shift, getting away from the Kingslayer as Gizmo steps forward, but this time he has to have a body block from the Beemo. The Cosmic Radiance has been channeled, and some key ultimates are now lost to the Cardiff Saints. They got absolutely nothing in return, and the Bristol Brawlers still have that Baron buff on the Ahri.
But they blow the flash of Sylas. He's a lot less scary now, and with all these sweepers, as you see, 3-4 sweepers on the side of the Brawlers. They're utilizing this to try and clear out as many Teemo Shrooms as possible, clear out this vision. And if they can get, like we keep saying, Cardiff Saints to face check rather than overforcing themselves, it becomes so much easier to win a fight.
So this is actually exactly what I wanted to ask you about earlier, but I might not get a chance because Hampot is going ham! And he goes in, he throws down Dominus, trying to get Gelatin Skeleton. He's not going to be able to. He gets stunned down, but here come the rest of the Cardiff Saints. Camille flies in, managing to get the kill into the opposition top lane, but meanwhile Gizmo picks up a kill, but he himself gets shut down. Ezreal continuing to put the damage down. He avoided the Renaissance charge, and now he's charging forwards with the rest of his team. 3 members still alive for the Bristol Brawlers. They've lost their final Baron buff, but they're still going to be able want to rip through his turrets so very, very fast. All the enhanced damage is going to come in. They've got to demolish to boot. This could easily be the game. Only Taric stands in between the brawlers and taking the Cardiff Saints down.
And with still 30-second death timers left, you've got the late game Ezreal. He's got all this damage. You can potentially end this right here, right now.
Taric only needs to clear out this one minion wave and a massive Sejuani who's tanking up, doing everything that he can. But look at the brawlers. They are purely focusing on towards the turret. That is their only interest. Then they turn their interest towards Taric and he melts faster than a turret. The second Nexus turret falls, the Nexus will follow suit. And this best of 3 series is going to start with a win for the Bristol Brawlers.
And Cardiff Saints, they tried to find their windows. They tried to find the positioning back into the game. They had a strong early game. We saw the potential in them, but that mid game where the Sejuani showed up so huge, was able to get kill after kill, play after play, it just became too much to bear. And it got the Ezreal to a point where he could carry in the late game fights. It got Camille to the point where in that fight, she not only found the flank to kill the Sylas, but she completely 1v1'd the Misfortune before she could get her ult down, who was a complete non-factor in that fight. And once those 2 key carries are gone, where's the damage?
The Saints seem to have one key win condition near the end of that game, and that was between the Sylas and the Renekton. Get on top of the Ezreal and kill him before you can snipe out everybody on your team. They made one last-ditch attempt at it, Hampot going absolutely huge, but between the Arcane Shift and the protection coming in from his team, Ezreal able to step away, able to remove the threats, and as you say, that was all that was needed for the Cardiff Saints to win the game.
Yeah, they just had to play those fights out.
The game because the Bristol Brawlers won.
The Brawlers just had to play those fights out a bit slow. We saw the moments where they struggled the most were the moments where they were over-aggressing because they had the vision control. They were using the sweepers effectively, placing the pink woods to deny vision. They just needed to get the Saints to face check. And the way you do that is just walk off the map. Walk out of vision of them, and then they have to go, are they going Baron? We have to face check right now. Suddenly, you've got a Sylas who is so fed, but is face checking into 4 people, into a Sejuani ultimate. He just gets picked off. Where's the damage coming from? Yet again, like we say, it's all about just finding the pick pressure with your pick comp, and they weren't utilizing it effectively, especially without a Glacial Ari. It became that much harder to do, as she did go for the usual full AP build.
Well, we have ourselves a small gap before Game 2 of this best of 3 series begins. And I do have 2 questions purely related to the Teemo that I want to ask you, Sin. The first one, we got a man in Twitch chat, Root Optional, who is claiming that he was the one who inspired BMO being picked up here by Tibbers. He's claiming full responsibility. Root Optional, hero or villain of the piece?
The villain of the piece, 100%, because if they had something more impactful than a Teemo mid lane, they may have had a chance to win that game, I'll be honest with you. I don't know whether it's a point of they just want to have fun. It's the last game of the season. They're not sure that they could even make playoffs at this point. Let's just try and have a laugh with it while we're here. Enjoy a Belong. That's what it's all about in the end, just having fun and within this competitive environment. But all the same, the Teemo was never really a champion that would have that impact. Teemo really struggles unless you can utilize him as like a solo lane split pusher. He just doesn't have the impact that can make plays on his own. He isn't a playmaker. He's more of a guy who just wants to 1v1 somebody and beat away at a tower.
Which brings me on to the second question that I have in relation to Teemo. And this isn't just about the Teemo we saw there, though it was really highlighted for me. And that is, do you feel that because of the way that the shrooms get put down and the number of sweepers and control wards that we see being put down by the opposition team, that you almost enhance the other team's vision, providing that they're concentrating and dealing with the Teemo, because they're so focused on clearing out shrooms as well as wards, that actually they probably clear out more and keep more vision than if you hadn't had a Teemo in the game in the first place?
It's a very interesting concept, and I think at this sort of level especially it does, because you are that much more mentally focused on we have to clear things than you would normally be. That leads you to putting down more vision, that leads you to clearing more vision to try and deny the Teemo shrooms. So I think it's a nice situation for them to be in, where it's a nice sort of practice tool moment, you know, like where you tell somebody that they need to learn map awareness, play Twisted Fate, and then suddenly your map awareness becomes better because you're forced to do it. Well, it's that kind of environment.
Your co-caster from a couple of weeks ago is asking a question in chat. He says, how can you hate Teemo? I mean, for me, the answer is very freaking easily. How about for you, Sen?
I mean, Teemo anywhere other than top lane, I will refuse to like. But Teemo has the potential to be a very intricate split pusher when you think about him as a champion, because he can win 1v1s, use the blind and use the lane bullying effects to win out effectively. But as the game builds up, he can then put down the shrooms around sort of around the warding spots where you would normally want to have a lot of wards as a split pusher. With all the shrooms there, you scout out so effectively. No one can ever walk top lane to try and stop you from split pushing because they get caught out so early that you get notified so early of where they are. You press W and walk away. So it can be a really intricate and smart top lane pick. It's never utilized that way because there aren't enough people who have that big brain who play Teemo. They would rather play something that can do the same thing like Yorick.
I mean, based on what you're saying there, credit to our villain who's probably being hunted by a Garen somewhere. Root optional, he was saying, actually, into a Camille in the top lane, that possibly could have been a much better matchup because you've got the blind and also how Shrooms, they should be in the jungle more than the lane and
exactly.
why side lanes are so good. So, he's agreeing with you there, but, he may be agreeing with you, but he's the man who put the idea into Tibber's head, and for that, we hate you. No hate, of course, here on Belong Arena Clash. Nothing but love.
Speak for yourself, mate. Speak for yourself.
So we're going to be coming to game 2. Do you think we're going to see Teemo again?
No.
Cool. What else is going to change in the draft?
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. No, I don't expect to see Teemo. But what else changes in the draft for them? I think it's fine besides that. I think the Renekton Sylas 2v2 into the Sejuani Camille, it's doable. We saw them win that matchup. We saw them lose that matchup. It's very snowball dependent, and they were able to fight fairly evenly at most points of the game. It was only really that the Sylas is more of a carrying-oriented champion. The fact that he was given those kills meant that he could do more with them. Unlike, say, if you had an Aurelia mid lane instead of the Ahri that game, and you have the Sejuani already fed, then you snowball into mid lane as well. You can only really snowball melee matchups that effectively as a quote-unquote carry, because you can't 2v2 anywhere near as easily if you have to play a pair with a range.
One thing I'm slightly expecting to see is a Sylas ban coming out of the Bristol Brawlers, because that was one thing that really did go very nicely. Gizmo especially getting the early advantages.
Yeah, well, we're going to fly through pick and ban pretty quickly because they are going to be doing it in Pro Draft yet again. So we're going to be able to see how they change it up very soon. And I'm wondering, I hope we do get to see what the bans were.
Yeah, I always appreciate it when in Pro Draft they actually show what the bans were and whether or not they're whether or not they show us the bans that they actually used in the Pro Draft or not. Time will tell, but it might not tell. We might just be here clueless as to whether or not things have changed. I personally, like I say, would like to see that Sylas ban. Of course, as we go into this game, the picks and the bans will be reversed, because on the left side we are now going to have the Saints, because this is completely fluid. It's going to be one side blue, then red, and then in the third game it would swap back over again. So the Cardiff Saints now will get their option to pick first, depending on what is left up for them.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of controversy that's been going on around esports right now in terms of the way you think of the leagues being operated, with this patch completely killing practice in solo queue. It's been a lot more difficult to be able to just play out the games and get this practice down with the new patch. You see champions like Kiana being released that completely break the game. Who's
that, sorry?
Quinoa, rather.
Sorry. I know who.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you for keeping me straight on the straight and narrow in that regard. The Quinoa being introduced and just completely breaking the game, where a team that might not necessarily win the game plays her, and then will just win the game purely because they have this uber broken champion. And then you've got things like Overwatch League completely inting their format by trying to force 2-2-2. It's a complete joke. I know I'm transitioning away from League, but I have to talk about this as an esports representative, because they're literally saying that. Imagine you just go. Okay, if you've got your mid laner who wants to play a flex pick, he's playing Renekton this game. Your top laner's playing Karma. You want to put that top laner into mid lane? You can't do that. You have to keep them top lane. We are enforcing this on the League. You can't fix. We're hearing from the production. You can't fix the game, therefore you have to fix the players. You can't balance the game so it's not goats. So instead, what you do is you force them to play what you make them play, and that's not it.
I'm going to stop you from giving yourself a migraine or something here by saying that for those of you out there who do like Overwatch and maybe like to rant about Overwatch, perhaps, we had an absolutely incredible series last night. So get yourself.
It was great.
onto the VODs for this exact channel because
And it doesn't force 222.
Yeah,
It's great.
it doesn't not whatsoever, and it is completely worth going back and watching. Some fantastic casting from the wonderful Big Hungry Phil and the equally wonderful Geo. And honestly, if you like Overwatch, go and watch that because you are in for a treat.
But you might not want to watch it if you are from the Southwest.
No, I think you especially watch it then. And yeah, definitely.
But Bristol
definitely,
doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's not a real place. You can't pretend it is.
Going
We
back to
established this
Quinoa,
last night.
going back to Quinoa, have you seen Quinoa and ARAM?
No, I have not actually. Can she just put all the way down the entire map with
Yeah.
the?
Yeah.
Okay,
pretty
that's
much.
not entirely useful, but it is cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool until you accidentally throw your ult at an inhibitor or a remove turret, and it just goes in a circle around it.
That can still be more useful than the wall, to be honest,
It actually
because
can,
that's
yeah.
where everybody's going to be standing. Like,
So,
if they're all trying to defend a tower, you just ult the tower. Easy clap. You just take them all to 50% HP.
It's
And then
really
you
good
get your
fun to watch.
Malphite, Zyra, and Amumu to all engage following up on that, and you just win the game. It's easy as that.
And of course, oh sorry, George, do you prefer it pronounced Quinoa? That's my mistake. I'm sorry. So the other thing about Quinoa is that obviously there is no water on ARAM. So
Yes,
at the
she
moment,
can't get the root. She can only
exactly.
get the
So
brush.
she's
and-
already
yeah.
minus a bit of her kit. There was talk about maybe even adding a little bit of water just so she could use
Yeah.
it, but technically Ivan's not able to use his full kit on ARAM, so neither is Shyvana are able to use the passive. So
Still no water in the fountain.
perfectly fine. No water in the fountain.
This isn't even my line. This is an in-game joke. Why is there no water in the fountain?
You're actually breaking me today. First champ select. Okay, if you weren't here at the beginning, go into a champ select game and answer the question of why the insert expletives here is the right hand side of the screen all in caps and the left hand side not all in caps.
Because G2 is better on red side, so it's all caps.
You never get to moan about wordplay with me again. Oh dear. So I've actually had a producer confirm in my ear that there's a deep coding reason that Riot Games unfortunately aren't able to change, and so it's a completely serious thing.
All right, yeah.
Maybe it will get dealt with in a future patch.
Maybe
They're
in the
working
future
hard
it'll
on
get
it.
dealt with, but
They're working
I
really
don't think
hard on
I
it.
don't think we can flame it when that's the actual reasoning. So we're going to leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. So one day it may or may not get sorted out.
Sure.
It would certainly make me a lot happier because
Let's just play pretend here.
now that I've seen it, I will never be able to unsee it. So we're going to be bringing you into that game 2 of the series. Remember, this is the final night of Belong Arena Clash group stage. We will be having a gap week next week from the stream, and then the week after that, we'll be bringing you the playoffs and the top 8 teams, the top 2 teams from each of our 4 groups. They will be playing off against each other. Remember that the 2 top teams, when they progress to the final, that doesn't just happen in the Belong arenas. That is going to be live on the stage at Insomnia 65.
Think about how
I65
great
is just going to be
when I get
absolutely
to cast
incredible event.
and unplug his mic when he makes bad puns. Literally be there to unplug his microphone. It'll be great.
Bring back Mao, please. Someone get Chronicler. Get him back. Honestly, I will pay for his flight back from the Netherlands, and all will be well with the world again. But no,
Let me bully you, man.
it's going to be only if I can bully you too. I mean, no bullying in the workplace, of course. It's going to be a really fantastic event, as well as seeing the fantastic Belong Arena Clash League of Legends final. Clash will also have its finals for all of its other games like Mortal Kombat, FIFA, Overwatch, and Rocket League. There's going to be events going on all weekend long. A big pun?
Have you played Mortal Kombat?
Have I played MK?
I'm a fan of the game myself. That's why I bring it up.
I've
I'm
not
trying
played
to
it.
explain you.
I haven't played it since the really early days. So we're talking. What would Mortal Kombat?
Oh, so we're talking back when the games looked like actual pictures of people, because they were pictures of people.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically pixels, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when would that? What console would that have been? N64
God,
was that?
I don't even know how long ago that was. It's such a long time, but I was really enjoying one of the most recent games. Like I was a guy playing Alien and Predator because they were fun, but my main in the most recent 2 has been Aaron Black. I am a huge fan of the gunslinger himself.
Do you want to
Basically,
give us
one of his
rundown
moves.
of his fatality?
One of his moves is, oh god, he has a bullet with their name on it, and then it ricochets all around their body off of their bones.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so like you see the bullet in slow motion fly around, and it's got their name inscribed on the side of it. It's perfect. But like he has an ability where he flicks a coin up in the air and shoots a bullet ricocheting off of it into them. And there's just a bunch of really interesting moves like that, where he never just fires the gun directly at them. It always has to be fancy.
That sounds really cool, to be fair. One of the things I do like, I mean, I've only ever really got into Tekken in terms of fighting games, apart from back in the old days.
I'm a King main.
Okay, so I know a few guys who are. In fact, a wonderful host from last time round at Insomnia, Stu, he was big into King and was telling me that the leopard faced man still was going strong.
I love the wrestler skin for King. He's got like this whole Japanese wrestler thing with like a big purple and gold cape.
That sounds amazing.
It's a wrestling mask instead of just a leopard face. It's great. And actually, it augments your ultimate special as well. So it's just money starts raining from the sky.
What? Yes, this is the League of Legends stream, but we're just talking about other games in the gap between. And the reason we're talking about them, I'll say it one more time.
Chat.
Coming up.
The chat's here for us, not for League of Legends. What are you talking about?
I mean, I don't think the chat comes to see, my shirts and your wonderful beard.
Yeah, they don't come to see two washed up casters. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, one washed up caster and Sin.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. So, one of the things about Insomnia that's so wonderful is you've got all of those great things that are going to be going on the esports stage. You're also going to have all sorts of great events. I don't know if it's coming back, but the last one they had, it wasn't Nerf guns, but it was some kind. I think it might have been Nerf guns. Basically, a big arena just like shooting each other, basically, and all sorts of great stuff on the main stage. Dark Room by Robotron is one of the best live comedy shows you can go and see. If you've never seen it before, go out, check it out. He's even got a game on Steam, and there's just all sorts of brilliant things that happen there. Belonga is also doing loads of stuff outside of Insomnia as well. We were seeing a trailer earlier on, and we may even get a chance to see it after the next game or the next couple of games. And there's
Crash Team Racing, let's go!
Exactly. There's a Youth Cup coming up, not only in Fortnite, but in Crash Team Racing. Now that, my friend, is a game.
I'm a Coco main. Let's go. Yeah, let's show the VT.
Please do. How good does that look? Okay, FIFA and Fortnite, they're not even games, but Crash Team Racing, Sin.
Let's go. I get to play Coco Bandicoot on stage. This is going to be great. I'm still 16. I can play.
That is a cosplay I do not ever want to see. So...
Oh, no, please. Don't make me think about that.
So, basically... Crash Team Racing, for those of you who maybe haven't picked up the reboot, this is a game that's very much so from my childhood. Absolutely loved it. It was essentially PlayStation's equivalent to Mario Kart. Is it just me, or was it more fun?
It was a bit. I mean, like when you have characters like Dingo Dial, it's always going to be a bit better.
Dingo Dial, man, you bring back so many memories. All I know is I need to go out and pick up my own copy of this remastered game.
He plays Pinstripe.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember Pinstripe being a character in the game, if I remember correctly.
Because I know eventually they, like in the reboots, like in the later games, they kind of forgot that Torna existed, but then in the reboots they brought Torna back, Crash's girlfriend. I'm not sure if they're going to bring her back into this as well.
Wait a second, I thought Coco was Crash's girlfriend.
No, it's his sister.
My bad. I've not played these games for a very long time.
Well then, just the pause after that's his sister, where I can see you have that moment where you're like, oh, what have I done?
They're bandicoots. I'm not going to feel too bad now.
They have the surname Bandicoot. They're both Bandicoot.
I assumed it wasn't their surname. It's just what they are. That'd be like calling you Sin Human.
It's like Peppa Pig. They're all called Pig because they're a family.
So,
I'm sorry that Oh god, production just killed me. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so we're going to be bringing you the second game, the best of 3 series between the Bristol Brawlers and the Cardiff Saints. So far, things are going very well for the Bristol Brawlers. They are the team who are looking to try and get to the playoffs. And here we get an opportunity to have a look at the Champ Select. We've swapped sides of the rift, and so now the Cardiff Saints are going to get not only the first ban, but also the first pickup. What will we see taken off the table?
I don't know what we're going to see taken away, but I would initially think that you want to take away the Silas when it's available as first pick. It is such a strong champion right now, and can be utilized in so many different ways. Like we said, the ultimate is such a toolkit, and even though they didn't win, he was the key strength of their composition. So just take it away. Don't allow him to have that kind of comfort again.
Instead, we're seeing a lot of the bans from last time around. Again, because this was done in Pro Draft, we don't for sure know whether or not these were the bans in the order in which they were banned in the last game or not. However, seeing things banned the same 2 times in a row when they don't begin with the letter A, and seeing Sivir removed makes me think that these very much so are the bans.
Yeah, this seems like they are trying to fairly represent it and give us, the casters, a fair representation of it as well. Respect that a lot. Also, it means that we'll go into the match history with the right bans, so you can look back in time and be able to see what went on. So it all works out in the end.
Cool. So the ban that has changed from last time around is Ezreal taken away from Gelatin Skeleton, and already we can now I can't quite see that ban because actually on my screen it looks like Sin has been banned because your face is literally right above it.
It is the Renekton third ban, and they go Camille knowing that there's very few counters left to it. So it means you have to play something more along the lines of the Gnar, the Nico, but instead he's gone for Darius. So this is very much of a kill lane where Darius wants to try and get the 2v2 again. Camille wants to try and get the 2v2. So this is really potentially
this is a long hover
if the Camille gets ahead. But the Darius, we know what he can do in 1v2s.
I thought that was going to be an exceptionally long hover because they were going to pick Teemo again and just leave it to the last second to pain us. But no, instead it's going to be Morgana this time for Tibbers. We'll see whether or not Root decides to claim any responsibility for that one or not. It's going to be going up against the Ahri, so exactly the same as before. One thing that really surprises me here, Sin, Silas on Gizmo on Silas again.
Yeah, he probably prefers to pick that, so he's comfortable just picking that one up for himself. And all the same, the Morgana as a counterpick to the Ahri, knowing you can just black shield the Charm, knowing that you've got a decent amount of wave clear. He's going to be fairly happy with that matchup as well. So I think they're looking a bit happier than the last game, although the Renekton being gone and being forced to play the Darius instead could be either brilliant or disastrous.
Well, we are going to see Sejuani was taken away. This is why we're seeing Lee Sin instead this game. You can only assume that ban came in before the Lee Sin pickup was picked up by the Brawlers. They also took away the Teemo. They were worried about that one into the Camille.
They banned the Teemo, but they didn't really show that they were going to play Teemo mid last time around. Teemo top last time around, then instead playing in mid lane. If they played him top lane, I'd be more inclined to agree, but it just seems a bit preemptive.
Well, maybe they were just respecting, what Teemo brought to that last game, and perhaps it was more frustrating for the Brawlers than we even realised. We're going to see Blitzcrank brought in to partner up that Yordle gunslinger that is Tristana. Blitzcrank has had an incredible change. He has become so much more useful. Do you want to tell us all about it?
Yeah, the fact that his ultimate now removes shields is the new thing with him, which can be very useful, especially if you look against like a Karma where she AoE shields her entire team and Blitzcrank just instantly removes those shields. Or even like the whole reason that they buffed Renekton and Tahm Kench in this way is to hard counter Tahm Kench. So Blitzcrank hooks him in and removes his shield. Pre-6, you can hook the Tahm Kench or hook the AD carry. They're going to be pretty much dead. And when Tahm Kench does get healthy enough to survive that hook in, the shield just gets removed instantly and he's not tanky enough anymore. So it's become that much more of a bully lane where if you hook in a Caitlyn, she's not going to be safe from with just shields and heals anymore. It's a lot more difficult to Janna to save her.
Exactly, Janna is going to be there with the shields, but they're just going to be completely nerfed out the park if that ultimate hits while the shield is on top of either the Caitlyn or the Janna. So that is a really nice, clever pickup for the side of the Cardiff Saints. The question is, can they do a little bit more with their bot lane than they did last time? It was very much so that lane that lost out to the Brawlers and started the snowball in Bristol's favour.
And I want to look at this bot lane, though, because this is going to be a really interesting one. I think Caitlyn Janna does have the pressure if they can play around the minions effectively, but we know stray Blitzcrank hook can really change the fortune of any lane that you can see him in. And Really, the Tristana struggles early on in this matchup, but once she gets to those later stages, can outscale. So the Blitzcrank just has to carry her through the early game, where Caitlyn Jenner is going to be at their strongest.
We talk all about these changes that are coming in for the Blitzcrank. We'll talk in a moment about the ones for Morgana as well. We talk about them because we are, of course, on the live patch. We are on 9.14. With all of the pain that is brought so far, we haven't had to deal with as many bugs as you would see in a Kha'Zix one-for-all.
Haha. All the same here, we can hopefully just try and get through this cleanly. Like, the Morgana TP is interesting here. I'm looking at the double TP, thinking about if they can try and impact the bot lane that way. If they want to go for the TP plays early, because the Saints, we saw them really struggle to force plays in the mid game. Maybe having double TP is their window to do that. However, the Bristol Brawlers, they've got the pressure with the Lee Sin this time. If he can have an early game impact, maybe even greater than the Sylas had, it's a potential for there to be really aggressive early game from the Brawlers and get ahead far earlier, not even having that early game blip.
So, Sid, coming on to the change for Morgana, as we have a couple of moments before this game starts up, I was speaking earlier to a LeBlanc main who was telling me just how excited they were for the changes that have been made to the chains that they put down, the routes they're able to get out. This is the same for Karma. It's the same for the Soul Shackles of Morgana.
But it's only really for one champion to keep them in line again, and it's to keep Akali in line. Like, the Blitzcrank changes are to keep Tahm Kench in line, regardless of what they want to do with Tahm Kench. The mid lane changes are to keep Akali in line, because LeBlanc was already an Akali counter. This has only made it worse.
So basically what's happened there is you're now going to get full vision of the champion if that route completes, which obviously there's a very good opportunity for it too. Remember, Morgana a couple of patches ago was able to get a little bit of a buff on towards that ultimate.
Yeah, so the whole thing is, like, this is going to impact the game so much when you're just looking at these champions, because they all have such mobility other than Caitlyn Jenner. So it's they're pretty much just going to dash out the way of it. But then you look at the Caitlyn Jenner, and they're very mobile, and they pretty much just going to get caught out by it. But if somebody walks into a brush, you can see them. It's easier to land a picture-perfect Q at the end of it. And it can be a little bit more utility-based, but it's not really a huge buff, especially for the Morgana. It's more so the LeBlanc, who wants to be bursting somebody potentially even over a wall.
A moment ago, up there in the top right corner, we could see the number one by the Bristol Brawlers because they won the first game. The question for you now, Sin, is do you think they look likely to take the second?
I think their composition looks a bit rougher, but it's all about this top lane matchup yet again. And unfortunately, last time around, the Renekton tried to get an early lead, but the Camille had a large impact. The jungle had a large impact. And it's this top lane 2v2 again, the Sylas and the Darius versus the Lee Sin and the Camille again. If the Camille can start to rotate around the map, they can make plays with the high mobility that we talked about, then this game could be complete whitewash. But all the same, if they struggle to make those plays early, the consistency of the Sylas Darius will end up shining through.
Well, turning our attention from what had been in the top right of our screen to what is in the top left of our screen, a big thank you to our sponsors over at Plantronics, to Rig, who provide fantastic headsets, and they have done a great job, and we really appreciate the fact that they will be sponsoring our streams, helping us to keep on going and bring you all this fantastic League of Legends content. So we're going to have the Arena Clash game now going down between the Bristol Brawlers and the Cardiff Saints. As we jump onto the Rift, this could be the last time these two teams play during the group stage. If they get knocked out, it could be the last time that they play in the Clash at all this season. And once more, we see the five-man stacks.
Yeah, this is exactly what we saw last time around. They want to get these early plays, especially when you've got a Blitzcrank hook, you have to stay as 5.
Nice, slow and steady start. That's what we like. Last time we did see the teams almost discovering each other. This time, instead, we find ourselves with a pause.
Well, we'll try and find out what the issue is as soon as possible, but hopefully we can get back into it pretty quickly. All the same, as we saw at the start, the Blitzcrank wants to get these early hooks off, wants to try and impact the game as early as possible. Even just blowing a flash during these early phases can be so detrimental to a laning phase. For example, you see an RA blow a flash, suddenly it becomes that much easier to just land a binding and get the Sylas in to kill her. The 2v2 becomes that much easier. And again, 2v2s are the key of this composition. When you look towards mid-game focused teams, it's all about those 2v2s.
So the thing that scares me the most from the Cardiff Saints composition, last time we talked about how good the Sylas was, and then we kind of pulled the covers back and we saw the Teemo behind it, and we went, ooh, for everything good that the Sylas brings, maybe the Teemo doesn't have it.
Maybe if you had the Morgana last game, that game was winnable.
Exactly. So that's now not there. Do we have something else that we look at in this composition and go, ooh, everything that Sylas brings, this unfortunately is as much a detractor from it as a positive is to the Sylas?
I'm looking more towards I'm looking more towards both the Blitzcrank and the Darius, which are both such feast or famine champions in terms of if Blitzcrank lands that first hook and gets that first kill in lane, you've got to be terrified of him. But if Darius and Blitzcrank both start to struggle early on, that's where the game opens up for a Camille to just go, I'm winning lane, I'm pushing him with Tiamat, I'm just going to go kill the mid lane over and over again.
Alrighty, well, if you are out there in Twitch chat and you've seen these compositions, you've seen how game one played out, give us a hashtag Brawlers or a hashtag Saints. Let us know who you think would win in this battle.
But Brawlers are broken. I mean, have you played TFT? Brawlers are insane. You can just... I went up against somebody earlier. He had no synergies other than fully stacked Brawlers. And he had like two of every Brawler.
Who are the Brawlers? It's
Blitzcrank, Warwick, Rek'Sai, Sho'Gath, and Volibear. And he just had like two of all of them besides Volibear, which he had one of, and Sho'Gath, which he had one of. And it was just
when you say you had two, you mean you had level two?
God. No. He had 2 level 2s, 2 level 2 Warwicks, 2 level 2 Volibears. Because think about this. You can choose to have one Warwick 3, which will give you the 700 bonus health for the Brawler buff once, or you can have 2 Warwicks and get 1400 bonus health from it.
Oh, that's a big brain.
So it's actually insane if you just fully stack all the Brawlers you can.
Well, know what I'm going to be doing in my placements tomorrow then. That's something to look out
It's
for.
unkillable. You just need one DPS champ behind them, you win the game because of it.
That sounds really, really quite scary. You were talking about how you play so well with your placements on TFT. Are you going to
bronze one?
I mean, it's literally as good as you can get, I think. But
then I lost 2 games immediately where I finished 5th and 6th, so I wasn't too happy afterwards.
I mean, did it drop you to bronze 2 or?
I was bronze 1 like 0 apiece. I think I'm like bronze 2 70 right now.
This is the thing. There are no. Sorry to talk about TFT. I really like TFT, and we're waiting on the game. So.
Yeah. The games. This could be an extended pause. It's fine to talk about TFT here. Yeah, the fact that there is no promotions means that it's that much easier to. If you just win 2 games, you go up. If you lose a game, you go immediately back down. It's a lot more like some other games where you just see there's a number threshold, and once you get to that threshold, you are in the rank.
So really, the most key games happen when you're at 0 LP, because at that point, if you win a game, you give yourself that little bit of footing where if you come 5th or 6th, you've got a bit of safety. Whereas if you come in the bottom 4, which is essentially, if you're let's say you're level in the game with the people who are going up against a 50% chance, you could just immediately demote having gone up.
It's that moment though where you're in about 5th place, and you've locked in at least 5th, and you're looking at both of you and the other guy who are on like 8 HP. It's all about luck. It's all about who goes up against the 1st place guy and who goes up against the 4th place guy, of who dies and loses LP and who wins and gains LP.
And then you just face each other, and it's like,
if you face each other, then it's at least fair at that point. But in elimination games, when you just get unlucky, as sometimes you do, and you face the 1st place guy 3 times over, it's just, what are you supposed to do there?
Yeah, it's a really good question. My main concern with the game, and it's one that I would have with any auto chess game, is sort of the amount of randomity that comes into it. So obviously, there are some people who come out of the opening few rounds with minions and have, let's say, 5 items, and there are others who just have their 1 from the carousel.
In 4 out of my 5 placement games, in the creep rounds, all I got was gold instead of items. So I didn't have any items, and I lost really hard early in those 4 out of the 5 games. And it was all about having to come back because of that, because you can try and get a level 2 off the back of it, but if you don't get extremely lucky and get a level 2 early, all you can do is have 1 extra level 1 on the board to invest your gold into. And it's not really enough, so you end up having to play from behind. You're way behind on items. You have to rely on maybe getting lucky in a round later on.
And I accept that there's a certain amount of skill to that, to actually falling behind and still being able to perform, and even if that helps you finish it, let's say 3rd or 4th in a game.
Yeah, but if you're up against everybody who's even skill with you, it doesn't really feel fair. I can definitely
exactly. I mean, you're talking to the guy who won't play a lot of board games that involve any form of luck. If there's a dice involved, basically, I won't play it, because I'm a competitive dick at times, generally, and as a result, if I'm going to play Monopoly with someone and they manage to roll a 12 and that means they get Mayfair and I don't, and then they win the game, I'm going to be pretty angry. And angry Stan isn't necessarily a very nice Stan. Stangry isn't a good look. Stangry is not a good look.
You don't want to see him when he's angry, but all the same, I can see what you mean, and it's definitely a fair way of looking at the game. But all the same, it's like.
But maybe that just means it's not a game for me. Maybe there are plenty of people out there enjoying it.
there's enough RNG, like if you're looking at a game like Hearthstone as well, there's enough RNG in the game that it evens out as an average point. Because like everything's random in the game. If everybody's experiencing everything that's random, some games you'll have a game where you really low roll, some games you'll have one where you really high roll, but 90% of games you'll be right down the middle and everybody's on about even footing.
Okay, so we are going to be still unfortunately struggling with this small break. I believe there was some ping issues coming in from one of the two teams. We'll have an update on that just as soon as we can, and we'll try to get you game 2 of this series just as soon as we can. Meanwhile, however, we're more than happy to take any questions from Twitch chat. So if you want to know how it is that Sin is younger than me but can grow a much better beard, feel free to ask that. Or if you want to know where I get my collection of shirts so you can avoid the shop, let me know that as well.
I wouldn't say my beard's that good, but thank you. I appreciate it. It's not as good as have you seen Sabutkick's beard? That's beautiful.
Oh, that is a pretty fancy beard. Meanwhile, we are hearing from Twitch chat that there are 2 people who like pie. I can confirm. I can make that a third. I am a big fan of pie. And on that bombshell, we are going to drop to a 10-minute break, and we'll be hopefully at the end of that break able to bring you game 2 in this series. If not, we may have some other League of Legends for you. Please do stay tuned. We'll be back as soon as possible.
You're crying for days. I wanna see the sea, but amazingly, I'm too scared of water, too scared of water. And I hope that one day you'll find me again. We can run to the top of the mountains. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, would you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? have to go far. All we need is to try hard. No, we don't need to be clear. We need our best thoughts out there. We need escape from here. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, wouldn't you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your
These manic thoughts won't go away. I hope you're thinking and feel the same. Your silhouette, it dissipates into the ceiling. I'm wide awake. Under the starlight, replay the memories that we made. I see the shape of your face. I don't wanna fade, don't wanna turn the page. Is this make-believe? I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you here to remind me. Is this make-believe? I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you are here
Welcome back to the Belong Arena Clash League of Pauses. I mean, legends. I am, of course, Stanley Greyheart Barker, joined by Stuart Sin McLeod. Thank you so much to everybody who's been keeping things going in the Twitch chat. Fantastic question coming in from Kintex. What's the best name that we have heard while doing the Belong Arena Clash? Well, for me, it's two people who were up against each other in the final. I just love saying the name Truladorn from the Lionhearts last year, and you can't not love someone who's calling themselves Shaven Tortoise from the Portsmouth Pirates.
Yeah, for me, I actually went one a bit closer to home. I went for our producer, Professor XSplit. Which, if you happen to know, the streaming program XSplit, similar to OBS, it's just, yeah.
The short version is it's a great name, but the long version is we're finally back into the game between the Cardiff Saints and the Bristol Brawlers. We do see on the top of the screen, it does say that the Cardiff Saints won game one, but I believe the Bristol Brawlers actually were the team that took that one. So do not be deceived by your eyes. They are playing tricks on you, or maybe it's just our producer who's doing that. Meanwhile, we do see Gelatin Skeleton has picked up the Caitlyn in game number 2, and that is going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out against Tristana. Such a completely different matchup to in game 1.
Of course, if they can get the early wrong game, nearly said spatula. If they can get the early BF sword onto her versus the Caitlyn, it tends to swing the matchup quite a lot, because if the Caitlyn has to back early on and can't pick up the BF sword or has to pick up components, she really struggles quite hard.
Well, here we go. The grab from the Darius. He's pulling TWT straight in. Already the basketball hoop over the top of the head, bleeding down. Flash there from Janet trying to get away from the rocket grab. Meanwhile, in steps the Tristana, trying to get as much damage down as possible, but taking headshots for days. How the flash follow. That's Gelatin Skeleton trying to get a kill. Instead, First Blood actually goes over to the Blitzcrank. Now, what can Gelatin Skeleton do in the 2 versus 1 situation? It's a 2 versus 1 in the top lane as well, because T-Far UK is here. Hampot may not be for very long. He gets a bit of a heal from his Q, but it's not going to be enough. The bleed is not going to kill the Lee Sin, who levels up, and the health saves him, but only for so long. Hampot gets a return kill, and that makes it 2 for 1 in favour of the Cardiff Saints.
And you can maybe argue that with the spell vamp and lifesteal from the W on the second half of the shield, he could have maybe healed up off of some minions, but it was so close. They're back and forth of which way it would go, and it's ends up being a 1 for 1, which you got to say actually helps Hampot here as he just TPs back and keeps up his pressure.
Skeleton!
Wow, okay.
Miles away, taking out the Blitz.
And already this is 2 kills both ways. A nice and bloody early one immediately after the pause.
More kills than minutes on the clock. They knew that we had been waiting, and they are providing the entertainment in a big way. The Bristol Brawlers bouncing back after losing out the kills early on.
And of course, Bristol keep it up in pressure. This is a lot better than we saw last game, because last game Cardiff Saints, they got a big lead early, and it was the mid game where they pulled back. This game, there's a lot more pressure on them to find plays in the early game, but at least they're not letting it slip away from them like they did last time.
They certainly are not. We have got ourselves a 6.9k for both teams, dead level as we approach 5 minutes. Neither jungler, I was going to say neither jungler making impact, but that would be completely unfair on T-Far UK, who made a great gank in the top lane stick.
Yeah, the Silas not really having an early impact yet, but really you need to wait until that level 4, level 5 mark until his clear speed actually starts to get anywhere noticeable.
Gelatin Skeleton doing everything he can with these headshots. Look how brave we can see that Blitzcrank being. Meanwhile, look how low Rizik is. Gets a decent heal, however, from the Kingslayer. He's going to force Lee Sin back. Meanwhile, Charm is going to land, and in return, Tibbers is trying to not able to get away from T-Far UK, uses the flash, the Sonic Strike connects, and that is going to be such a free kill for the Lee Sin, who is now 1-1-1.
He has to flash for it, but gets the flash from Tibbers in the meantime, as even with the Black Shield, the Morgana can't quite deal with it.
No, it's going to be Hampot now dashing underneath the turret, but this is a bit of a bold old move. Look how much damage he has, though, in response. Every single time that bleed gets applied to TWT, you just wonder what's going to happen. What is going to happen, however, is that Hampot is going to get executed by T-Far UK.
And now without the TP, this lane is exploitable. The Camille is going to be up in levels if you can get back here before the Darius hits 6 and Camille's on a decent amount of HP. You can just kill him over and over again, and they're getting control of the top side to potentially set that up.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, a decent CS lead as Caitlyn has got 42 CS to the 26 of the Tristana already.
Yeah, the Caitlyn getting a big early lead because the Caitlyn does have that innate attack range over the Tristana early on. Can be utilizing that as part of the Bully matchup. But also the Janna, just meaning that whenever you want to trade, you just throw a shield down on her, she gets the bonus AD, and you can't really DPS her back.
If you were wondering, by the way, just how long all this action was going to last, the answer is a very, very long time, because Tifa UK just wants every single fight on this Lee Sin. He had the Sejuani taken away from him, but now he continues to fight. He gets sped up by the Scuttle Crab, but he misses that Sonic Strike, not going to go in at all. Meanwhile, Darius had come across to cover the Silas. Looking at the Dragon Slayer.
It's the Ahri having the push pressure in mid lane, able to roam first, deny Morgana from collapsing onto that, denying them the kill, and meaning that the Lee Sin gets out scot-free.
Yeah, really valid point there, actually. Yeah. All I was going to say at the end of that is we've got an Infernal Dragon coming up as well, so actually we're going to see even more explosive plays, because you can't imagine either team giving that one up uncontested.
Unfortunate for the side of Bristol Brawlers, one of the bugs that did surface yesterday, was is still prevalent, and it is the fact that Ahri does not shield allies, and having gone for the summon Ahri on the side of Janna, this is impacting her lane.
Very much so, and impact is also being had up in the top lane. Hampot consistently just rampaging through TWT's health bar.
And now he's hit that level 6. That's the moment where you got to punish. And like you said, Lisa needed to come back top lane before that level 6 to really have the impact. Even on kills at this point, having an equal impact to the Camille and able to get a tower shot off the back of it means that now he could be this inherent threat in the side lane, even towards team fights, where Darius just snowballs so effectively if you give him that lead.
Sin, you called Darius and Blitzcrank feast and famine. So far, it's very much so a feast for Hampot in the top lane.
And it seems to be famine for Blitzcrank in the bot lane. He did get that first blood, but he's not landed a real impactful hook since. Just been hitting minions pretty much with it.
Yeah, instead finding himself consistently harassed by Caitlyn and Janna. Obviously, that range advantage coming in for the two bot lanes of the Bristol Brawlers.
And Ahri, she's getting very close to that point where her Q one-shots the backline of minions. That's a big power spike for her, as we should see that pretty much next level, where once your Q is able to do that, you can roam so much quicker because you also attack the melee minions, your Q one-shots the backline of minions, and you can roam off to get vision pressure much easier. You can even get poke that much easier just because you get that much more time to be able to control the wave. And it's a real window where we have to see the Ahri start to look bot lane, perhaps start to look into the river to impact this heavily carry-oriented 1v1 jungle matchup.
It's interesting as those two mid laners start to roam just what they'll be bringing to the table, though, as we do see Lee Sin coming down to the bot lane. The flash from Blitzcrank is enough to get away from Lee Sin for now. Janna used her flash as well, so both of the supports there burning that key summoner to try and make the play.
Yes, Tifa UK just happy to keep up the pressure and just force that bot lane down so they can't start to get a little bit antsy.
Here we go again up in top lane. Hampot wants to add to his 2 kills yet again, getting all that bleed damage down. How many times can you have a basketball hoop hovering over your head? There is a Noxian Guillotine available for Hampot. If he were just to lower the health bar of Rumaxing a little bit more, he might get a 3rd kill. Meanwhile, Infernal Dragon has been started up and there is complete control of this area for the Bristol Brawlers.
And for a long time, people talked about Darius rather questioningly because I know some Darius mains, and they talk a lot about him in the sense of he didn't really have a keystone for a long time. And it was a real change for him when the Conqueror was released, because it meant he didn't have to go Aftershock and just rely on the E anymore. He actually had a way to do things in lane. And he had to switch to going Triforce because of the anti-synergy between Black Cleaver and Conqueror, where you shred the armor. But shredding armor doesn't matter when you're doing 10% true damage.
So what are we expecting to see being completed? Is it still going to be
100% be Triforce?
Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't go Cleaver anymore.
In the bot lane, we do see Silas hovering around, looking at how much damage already this Blitzcrank has taken, though. It's basically just a 2v2, and it's not a 2v2 because look how many people are waiting in the wings of the Bristol Brawlers. Ahri has roamed down, having been able to push out, as you rightly said. Lee Sin is waiting in the bush as well, but they're just not going to need him because Blitz gets headshot one more time. The ace in the hole makes a double kill. That is now a 24 CS lead, a 3-kill advantage, a BF sword and a pickaxe completed for the Caitlyn, and the Bristol Brawlers bot lane are taking over this game.
to get this bot lane difference has been huge as the 27 CS lead, 3-0, and they're going to get tower shards off the back of this. This is giving Farak the ability to control this jungle completely.
Help me, Obi-Wan Hampot, you're my only hope! And that could be the only way the Cardiff Saints get themselves back into this game if this Darius continues to become the monster that it looks like he will be. An extra turret shot there taken by Recollect, and that doesn't mean Gelatin Skeleton has to use the heal to save Janna, but securing a first turret at 11 minutes in the bot lane is practically unheard of.
Yeah, trying to ensure that they are going to get first turret and they don't have to worry about the potential of that one going over, as now they're trying to get a shutdown in this top side.
Charm's going to land. That is indeed going to be the shutdown. Nice damages coming out of Ara. Didn't even have to use the summoner spells.
Yeah, just happy to walk up there and clean that one up. Deny the first turret, the last tower shard, rather, of Cardiff Saints for their first turret of the game. And it's going to be Bristol Brawlers sitting comfortably with a 3k gold lead. And you got to think, even if the Darius is getting this far ahead, is the Caitlyn just going to be able to control team fights to the point where he can't really get in?
Meanwhile, Tristana looking to try and get a little bit of explosive charges down, trying to take a turret plate for herself, is going to manage it. But now that duo in the bot lane for the Saints has to be so very careful because they've not got a turret to fall back on. And
the turret being missing gives Lee Sin a lot of a window to not only, as we said, control the jungle match, but 2 levels up over Gizmo this time rather than the reverse, which we saw last time. He gets to go and try and fight him in his jungle, but it also means that he gets a lot better gank pass onto bot lane.
Oh, that's going to be an immediate Dragon's Rage. It's going to be an immediate deletion. What a kill picked up. Jungle on jungle action being won by T5 UK. Both the summoners will be used by Gizmo. That's right, he used the smite as well, but he still wasn't able to get away from the Lee Sin. Meanwhile, the fight resumes in the bot lane between the top laners. We are in full Australia lanes mode, and still Hampot's winning the bot lane, but still Gelatin Skeleton is winning the top.
But exactly what we said showed up again, and it's the control this bot lane has is empowering the jungle matchup. And they put the bot lane top lane instantly. T5 has the ability to push into the enemy jungle and get a kill for himself, and this is what they need just to accelerate the game even further. They've got a 5k gold lead now. To get this outer tower, they get to sit the Caitlyn mid lane, and she's going to be able to ignore that mid-game power drop entirely because of the massive lead she's been able to get, because she just gets to do exactly what we're seeing there, set up the traps perfectly.
Herald secured by Lee Sin. Didn't see it in the last game, but we will see it here. It may well lead.
Lee Sin?
You might not even need it in the top lane. Meanwhile, Lee Sin looking for the plays. Yet again, Blitzcrank grabs just not landing. Nice use of the buster shot there. Is going to keep Tristana alive. And the Triumph saves her from the red buff bird. Incredibly timed plays there. Finally, Nick Titan finding something going his way. That buster shot timed to perfection.
But the shutdown gold, where does it go? It goes onto the Blitzcrank, not the AD carry. So she's still sitting so far down on Gelatin Skeleton. And even though this top lane is losing, you've got to say it's losing pretty gracefully.
Meanwhile, someone who is not losing quite so gracefully. Well, no, actually.
That's exactly who I was talking about.
It is exactly. I was just going to say, that is who you're talking about.
Look at the CS.
I don't think it's graceful at all. I mean, he's getting absolutely massacred, but you are right. The CS numbers are good.
The CS numbers are good, even though all these tower shards have gone over, even though these kills have gone over, he's not letting himself just be solo killed over and over again. He's finding some ability to hold the wave, hold the towers. And you can see it's a 900 gold deficit,
disgusting.
And he's still holding on.
Oh, Gelatin Skeleton just has got
the trap!
And yet again, we see the rocket grabs not connecting. Luckily for both Blitzcrank and the Morgana, the two support style champions, the ace in the hole was not available for Caitlyn. Otherwise, we would have seen a 4th kill for the Infinity Edge Zeal Berserker Greaves Caitlyn, who is just ripping turrets apart. Remember, you can headshot those statues.
And remember, this is what we said would happen if Caitlyn gets a lead bot lane. This is what she always does. She goes from bot lane, gets the bot lane tower with the inherent advantage that she has from being an early game champion, gets the top lane tower on a lane swap, roams mid, and then has full control to get that one as well.
How do you solve a problem like Hampot? You send 3 people his way, you issue a Hextech ultimatum, and you get some shutdown gold. That one going over to Lee Sin, who is now 4-2-1. T5 UK definitely enjoying this game considerably more than the last one. Gizmo not applying the same pressure we saw early game last time with the Silas.
Yeah, and this time it is going to be, as we say, T5 snowballing ahead. And what we noticed last game was he went 2 levels down fairly early. It was level 4 to 6, and he had to slowly catch up into the game to be able to make those plays come the mid game. This time around, it's the Lee Sin 2 levels up, so he's been able to dictate his tempo, inflict his will on the game by keeping up his level with that of the solo lanes.
Sim, we have a lot of talk about dragons and which ones are the most valuable, but there is no doubt that when you are snowballing a game, getting Infernal Dragons, getting Mountain Dragons only boosts that.
As they're going to give up the top lane tower for the dragon, but that's pretty much worth it when you know you're going to be the one sieging up, not the Tristana, not the Morgana. You are the ones with the sieging potential this game. You don't have to be as afraid of giving up that first tower.
And even with that standing gold going into Tristana's pocket, she continues the push in the top lane, maybe even looking to get a second turret. There is still a 6,000 gold lead, and with Shelly being summoned in the mid lane and Caitlyn here just ripping apart these turrets, you've got to think that... Did that grab just stop the charge?
No, you got the charge up still.
Oh, man. I've not seen that interaction. I honestly didn't know that you could grab the Herald.
There's actually an interaction with Urgot, where if you actually land your E during his charge, he no longer charges at any point.
There's also an interaction where if you send 3 people towards Hampot again, he dies. Especially
They give it to
Ace in the hole his way. That makes it a 4v1. And Ned Morgana just turns things around and goes, there's only one person who wasn't involved in that fight. I'm going to kill them. Ari dies.
I expected to look back over and see Caitlyn dying, but no, she's fighting off Tibbers on her own. Fighting off 3, having this full control to continue sieging up as the doggos are getting very angry.
Thor was so excited to see that kill, that ace in the hole go through, that he barked approval of it. Meanwhile, the Cardiff Saints obviously able to turn around a kill. They're not actually that far behind in kills because they do keep finding picks. However, that 6,000 gold lead so telling, and it's all because of the turrets and the CS advantages.
And we're back to Season 7 because it's a fully stacked 80 carry with an on sensor support. Let's go.
It's, yeah. It is very much a let's go, and right now the Cardiff Saints might be a let's gone because they are so close to playing their final game of this Belong Arena Clash split. Remember, if they lose this game, then that is them donezo. No chance of making the playoffs, and they will be done for another split.
Unfortunately for them, this looks to be a really rough situation yet again. We saw them have the potential of coming back in the last game, but in that game they'd had a fairly strong early game. This game they went even early and they've lost the mid game pretty damn hard, definitely, as the Caitlyn is just look at this. You're on the budget build, you're fully on the whatever you could get from the car boot sale if you're Nick Titan. This is like you forgot the anniversary was today, so you went and picked up some flowers from the petrol station and prayed. That's pretty much what Nick Titan's doing here. How
would you feel if it's your anniversary and someone comes back to you with a Zeal, Berserk Greaves, pickaxe, and a Negatron cloak?
Yeah, when I'm looking at me who brought an Infinity Edge and a Static Shiv and can win fights like this, yeah, it's a lot harder.
It certainly is. Someone's definitely the alpha in that particular relationship, and the
Someone's
alpha in this fight at the moment, the Bristol Brawlers. But here comes Camille. That's going to... Sorry, that's not... Yes, that is Camille. That is going to be the Bristol Brawlers picking up a double kill, and an ace in the hole, threads a third in quick succession. Someone was already dead, and so only Morgana remains to defend the inhibitor turrets, and she's just casually sat in base, waiting for some gold, trying to get some of her health back, watching the inhibitor turret fall. The inhibitor will follow soon after, and Ari is already pushing a wave into the mid lane, making sure that straight away this team of the Bristol Brawlers will continue their ascension as they get themselves yet another objective.
19-minute inhibitor. This is what we talked about, the siege pressure of a fed Caitlyn. Nigh unstoppable.
Meanwhile, Charm isn't quite going to connect this time. Black Shield put onto Tristana, trying to keep her alive. The second inhibitor will fall pre-20 minutes. Things going from bad to worse for the Cardiff Saints.
And this is very much a situation of your AD carry versus their AD carry. Is you got the Chad Gelatin Skeleton, and he's pretty happy snowballing this game ahead when he's looking at this kind of play where he can just burst even the tankiest of members on the
That was
side.
Charm made the Darius walk onto a trap. Headshot came in. Nice, easy kill. Gelatin Skeleton now 6-0-3 in this game. Gizmo gets dropped down by the Ari, who wants her own little piece of the kills. And now we see the ace in the hole once again fired from Nid. You know what? You could have just thrown an auto attack. You're just showing off Gelatin Skeleton, and your Ari will pay for it with her life. Here comes Tristana, rocket jumping onto the head. The Buster Shot sends Gelatin Skeleton away, trying to get as much damage down as possible. But this is beautiful body blocking. The freaking kill steal, though. Blitz, you bad boy. Meanwhile, TWT is trying to take down the final inhibitor turret and may well do so.
Well then, that's the Blitzcrank getting pretty much all of the kills for this bot lane this entire game, and the 1,000 gold shutdown. That allows him to build AP, I guess. But instead, he's building the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a Mountain Dragon comes up, and if you didn't think objectives were falling fast beforehand, they're going to go down even quicker. Of course, this will impact the Baron taking potential of the Bristol Brawlers as well. And you've got to feel like if they get themselves that final buff, which they almost definitely will, this game could be over.
Yeah, and this game is pretty much out of control. It's off the rails, and the train is heading directly down the tracks towards the enemy nexus as Bristol Brawlers pretty much been in control throughout. It was a little bit worrying earlier when the Darius got a couple kills, but even so, the bot lane always had the pressure, the mid lane always had the pressure. And the Lee Sin, you can see the difference in CS and levels. He's been comfortable.
You can tell the Saints know that the final nail in the coffin would be if this Baron goes down. They're doing everything they can to try and get a bit of vision, but straight away Tibbers walking on top of a trap, taking a headshot, and we can see Tfarah, he's just stepping forward. He's caused confusion for us. We don't know if it's called him Tfar UK or Tfarah. He's caused absolute chaos for the Cardiff Saints, and yet again he lands a Sonic Strike. He goes in, he picks up the kill onto Hampot. Tibbers will go down as well as Rumak Singh gets that one. Meanwhile, the Buster Shot is used to great effect, and we do see
this could be game.
Tristana gets a reset. The Buster Shot is there, but that's not going to take her far enough away from the Hextech ultimatum, and this will be the game. Never mind the Baron. One Nexus turret has already found itself under fire from the super minions coming in from the top and the mid lane. This is the Bristol Brawlers rounding out their group stage in style, securing themselves a place in the playoffs with a 3-1 record.
And it's the 8-1-8 Caitlyn showing up here today that has been the key. She controlled the bot lane throughout. She denied the Tristana any access to the game, and when it come to making plays in the mid game, she was always there.
That is the game concluded. In the end, that game nearly as long as the pauses that led up towards it.
They pretty much just turned it online and never let go because they got an inhibitor at 19 minutes and 20 seconds. This is a massive snowball rolling, and they got to be happy with themselves because they can only beat what's in front of them, and they stomped the Saints.
They really did, and that is exactly the sort of game you need to start momentum rolling, and they're going to hope that momentum continues 2 weeks' time as they go into the playoff stages. I believe that they will be qualifying from this group as the second place team. That means they will go up against a top seed from one of the other groups, so they will have to find their A game, because you've got to imagine it won't be as easy as it was for them there against the Saints.
And so, unfortunately, now that does mean the Saints are done, but we have to look to our second series, which is Stratford against the Arrows, I believe. So they've got the series is going to be coming up fairly soon when we can't get you into that one. But Stratford did win game one, so we're going to have to jump into the series in progress rather. So we're interested to see how that one's going.
Well, we'll get into that game as quick as we can, whether it be at pick or ban or whether it be live. I'm not sure, but we will bring you it as much as we can. I mean, that was just such a dominating performance, and in the end, I'm guessing the MVP was Gelatin Skeleton, but you're the man who gets to make decisions, Sid.
Oh, I give my MVP of that game almost certainly to him. There's no one else I consider worthy. He was so dominant once he got a lead, and the team moving around him, I have to give credit to whoever the shot caller is. They knew exactly how to utilize this Caitlyn, and they did it perfectly.
They really did incredible stuff there. We are going to be seeing the game between, I believe it's, am I correct in saying, the Stratford Spartans and the Nottingham Arrows?
Yeah, Nottingham Arrows, Stratford Spartans is the series. As we say, Stratford Spartans are up, currently 1-0 in the series. If we get a chance, I hope we can see the tables again, because I want to take stock where we are at with this.
So we're looking particularly at Group A, and in that one, the Tyneside Guardians looking very good with their 3-0-1 record. Meanwhile, the Portsmouth Pirates, they were 3-1-0 coming into today. So here, in fact, it is. We see it, as was said, there are the Guardians, 3-0. They are playing now, I believe.
Yeah, the Spartans are currently up 1-0 against the Arrows. And Pirates,
okay. Yeah.
They have to win both of their games, both the series today and the tiebreaker, without dropping more than one best of one. Right. If they drop two, they are 100% out of playoff contention, and it's going to be going to the Spartans.
Am I right in saying that what's happened there is that we've had the 1 week where there was a delay, and so the game wasn't able to be played, so they have to do a catch up?
They're going to be catching up because currently they are in a good position to be able to take that playoff spot. Portsmouth have their backs against the ropes.
So the fate is very much in the hand of the Stratford Spartans. They are going to be Cocky Fella, Cookie, Kavi, Is It Poppin', Romek, and Absi.
And on this side, you've obviously got the Mighty Boosh, Zongguaodi, Toxic Death, Wilco, and Ultimate Game Boy. As I believe Toxic Death is the name of a JoJo stand, but that's something else.
So the Portsmouth Pirates, we've just had it confirmed, they are 3-1 in the standings now because of a win against the Colchester Centurions earlier on, and this means that it's the Stratford Spartans very much so playing catch up, knowing that they have got to take both of these wins, not only against the Arrows but also in their catch up game, which I believe will be against the Tyneside Guardians.
Yeah, so Portsmouth now we're hearing are at 3-1 in the updated standings. So currently Stratford are the ones who have to play catch up to it, and if Stratford do end up winning cleanly, then they are still likely to take that playoff spot. Yeah.
Cool. So that all means that we can get into picking bands. Remember, this is game number 2. One game has already been completed. I believe, was it the Spartans who took game 1?
Yep, it is. Spartans are currently up 1-0.
Cool, so Spartans are up 1-0, and that means now we get to see a little bit of the bands. This gives us a bit of a clue as to what must have been happening in game number 1 of this series. Perhaps we saw some particularly influential plays. Interesting to see the Yumi banned, as I believe that is actually banned for the day, so something of a wasted ban. Maybe
not banned here, but 100% in some other regional leagues I've heard it's been banned. There's actually, my team discovered the issue where Yumi Qs were just invisible, and that was causing issues where obviously you're just getting hit by something you can't see. So it was permabanned there. Maybe not elsewhere, as Riot's yet to comment on it and how repeatable it is. Yet again, we do have the joy of Pro Draft, which means this all goes nice and quickly. It does mean we don't get to see the order things were picked in. And this is interesting because I had been told that Quinoa was banned today. However, that has been locked in. Yeah, I heard that she was completely blanket banned in competitive play at the minute, so this is an interesting one. Well, maybe this could explain why the Yumi itself was banned. Maybe it wasn't banned in Arena Clash. Perhaps Arena Clash, perhaps Arena Clash hasn't got the same rules as elsewhere, but I've heard elsewhere because of the bugs, she is an issue. Currently, the reported bugs are with Mordekaiser, who they're trying to patch, Quinoa, Yumi, and I'm trying to remember who else. There was one other key offender, and it's Annie was the other one. No, well, there we go. So, but we're definitely going to see the Quinoa in this game because we've had it confirmed from production from the people who are setting the rules. Quinoa was not banned out in Belong Arena Clash. So it's a completely fair game, perfectly fine for Soft Fires to be picking this one up. What a name that is! I believe with like UKLC going on today, for example, it's banned there, but here, the opportunity to see what it can do, and at least we're not going to see, hopefully we're not going to see the complete bug abuse of going for Leandri's Rallies and one-shotting somebody with a Q. So what I'm thinking here is that even though questions could be asked of whether or not Quinoa should be here, I'm still really excited because this is the first time I get to cast a game of Quinoa. And in case you're wondering why I'm saying Quinoa, it's because that's the name of the champion. You can call it Kiana all you want to, but that's Quinoa in my eyes. No, it's either Quinoa Reeves or like you either have to, like, if you're gonna call it Kiana, it's Kiana Reeves, and otherwise it's Quinoa. And me and a fellow caster Magical have found a middle ground where we both call her Quinoa Reeves. Oh, that's fabulous, and I absolutely love it. I also love the champions that have been picked up here. We're going to see a Nico Leona bot lane up against a Vayne Pyke bot lane. I do not believe I've ever seen this combination. Yeah, I believe there's a couple of names in this game which we're going to be avoiding saying, and we're just going to say the champion names instead, especially when you look at Vayne. I don't think, unless we're just going to call him Zong every time, I want to avoid that. Yep, that's I'm going to end up slipping up and choking on my own tongue if I try that. I'm too white. I'll definitely be saying Soft Thighs as often as possible because that's a pretty incredible name change. Soft Thighs was a great pickup of a name. It really was. That may have actually overtaken Shaven Tortoise as one of my favourite names. I mean, playing the Quinoa, obviously performing a cosplay with a username here, but I'll be interested to see how it is utilized because we saw it in LEC, and we saw it be a huge issue in the LEC, where suddenly she was jumping over a wall and one-shotting somebody, and we've been so focused on this Quinoa that we've not even looked at the fact that this is Olaf top Rammus jungle. Oh.
Yes, it is. I mean, let one last comment.
Martin scores on the wrong side. This is 1-0 to Spartans right now, yeah.
One thing that I do want to say just about the Kiana before we move on to the Olaf Rams, which I really do want to do because that's a really interesting set of picks that have been coming in here, is that Kiana in pro play, the last time I looked, which was, I believe, Tuesday evening, had I think it was a 97% win rate.
It's something
in
absurd. I don't
competitive
think
play.
it's like 97 right now. She's lost about 4 games, I think, so far.
At the time I looked, it had lost 1 game and it had won all of the others. It was 90 something at the time.
I think she'd lost only 1 game in a major region so far.
Yeah,
but if you looked across all play, then you'd have to be including every game that's not pro players wins, and then all the games that are pro players losses. I
think I was only looking at LEC, LCS, LCK, LPL, and
so right now she has an absurd win rate, and it's really hard to beat her because she just provides so much in terms of this AoE team fight stun whilst also one-shotting people.
Something else that's had a very high win rate lately, not too sure how it fares in patch 9.14, is the Olaf. You usually see it up in the jungle, but here we're going to see it going up against the jungler and the top lane. The flash away, the 3-point strike is going to get the knockup. Remember, no flash remaining on the Olaf, and it is going to be first blood picked up by Xin Zhao. Worldstar making the impactful gank. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we are getting this duel. The Nico trying to rain the damage down, and Pyke and Vayne just having to run with their tails between their legs.
Yeah, and it's the Nico who's trying to go in for this.
Oh, and gets it as well. That's going to be Vayne dropped down. But what can Pyke do in return? Already picking up the 1 kill onto the Nico. Now we do see the dueling support. We also see the dueling top laners get Worldstar a tent because he has camped himself in the top lane and he has helped already get a kill.
And this is what you always have to be afraid of as a top laner. You die early and have to TP back. The enemy still hasn't based or used their TP. You have to worry that by TPing, you're opening yourself up to getting killed a second time.
Oh, this is such a dangerous game. Flash follows Flash. Knockup is there. Ultimate Game Boy already having gone so low. Fortunately for him, he had used his smite just in time to get a decent chunk of health back from those Raptors. It was his saving grace.
Worldstar has still only killed 1 camp thus far. He's been entirely camping the lanes. And he's still got his entire jungle to fall back on, whilst already going 1-0-1. So he's still probably even on gold with Ultimate Game Boy.
Meanwhile, here comes the Pyke stepping forward again, looking to try and land a bone score, but going completely wide. Instead, taking the stun as the Zenith Blade is going to land onto the Vayne. That's going to be the camouflage used by Pyke, trying to get him safe. Guess who's up in the top lane again? This is the biggest camp I think I've ever seen, and Ramek is benefiting from it. He says, thank you very much, I'll go 2-0-1.
And, Wilco, he's trying, but all the same, it's just... You have to be aware when he's come top twice that you can't keep overforcing without your flash, without your TP, and he's being deservedly punished for it. Now the Aurelia is so far ahead.
The Stratford Spartans coming into this game 1-0 up in the best of 3 series, already finding themselves with a real strong footing. And yes, the Xin has only taken 2 camps. He's just taken his 3rd. But my word, what an impact he's had in the top lane.
As finally, because he has been camping this top side, Rammus is saying, I can now steal his bottom side jungle. He loses these high EXP camps because he has chosen to play towards this top side. But even though it doesn't quite make up for the fact that Olaf is so far down, it's really big in just making sure the Rammus can try and impact other lanes and counter gank effectively, but he's still down in experience.
And also, Sin, what's going to happen there is he's taken away those Raptors, but he's taken them away at level 1. That was the first spawn of the Raptors, so actually he doesn't really even gain that much by stealing them this time.
This is one of my issues right now with the way the game is. The fact that Worldstar's ganked 3 times, Ultimate Game Boy, or Gamer Boy? Or Game Boy, no, also Ultimate Game Boy, has just been power farming the entire time.
And yes,
he's down on CS, and he's a level down. That's not really fair, is it?
That's obviously a little bit of leeching been done in the top lane. Worldstar had been there long enough to benefit from the minions. However, he won't be able to benefit from a nice old Ocean Drake. This is going to be their health and the mana out of combat being boosted for the Nottingham Arrows as they secured this one for themselves.
I think you're still fine sacrificing this, knowing that you're cleaning up everywhere else on the map. Mid lane, winning out in CS. Bot lane, not quite winning out in CS, but still having a fair amount of kill pressure in top lane. Just look at the level difference. Now it's been caught up a bit, as Olaf was 3 levels down just a few moments ago. Now is level 4 to 5. But Aurelia is about to hit 6, and he's so far away.
Ramek there taking an axe to the face. Wilku still very, very nervous, knowing that Jin Zhao could appear at any second, unwilling to go in for any fights, especially as he is, not completed a single item on top of what he started with, and he's up against a Tiamat Irelia, who has just thrown the Vanguard's edge, has just thrown down the stun. Wilku taking damage underneath the turret, the dash in. This could be a step too far, however. Ramek gets a killing spree, but immediately gets shut down by the Olaf. Not a worthwhile trade. Meanwhile, we see Quinoa's ultimate for the first time here at the Belong Arena Clash. It does not lead to a kill because the flash is good from the Ahri, getting to safety. Worldstar here trying to keep Soft Thighs alive. The charm is going to land onto the Jin Zhao, and Le Good God Blaze gets the kill. This is such a dangerous game. The dash forward from Quinoa, the AD assassin trying to get the kill, is going to manage it. He's not going to stay alive, however, because Ramos gets one, does not have a flash available, goes down to, is it popping? The answer is yes, it is.
Happy to give up her own life there in the mid lane, knowing that the bot lane is coming up to clean it up, get all the experience from this wave, and give up next to nothing. Maybe even getting a tower shard for their troubles.
They very well may do, sending multiple people into the mid lane at just the right moment, making the plays happen. Pyke had completed recall, Vayne had stayed in the bot lane, and the Stratford Spartans continuing their rotations, continuing the pressure in multiple lanes on the map.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm finding really interesting right now is, have you heard the name of Qiyana's ultimate?
Yes, it is the... give me a moment on that one, it'll come back to me.
Okay, but the whole point is...
It's not a good name for an ultimate, basically.
Supreme Display of Talent.
Yep, that's the one, thank you.
And it's such a weird name, considering it's the easiest ultimate to use I've seen since Karthus. Because you just throw it near a wall. You don't even have to hit a champion.
It's the statement of the champion's talent that she can do that rather than the summoner's talent for using it, I feel. Meanwhile, she might be backed into a corner here. The ultimate not quite available. The charm is going to land. The Godblaze now has got 2 kills. Nottingham Arrows finding themselves a little bit of a way back into this game through the mid lane.
Almost finding a way out there, tries to E through the Pyke stun, doesn't quite get there in time. If she'd maybe done that, then she could have used the empowered Q with the invisibility and movement speed to make it to the blast cone. Instead, does get picked off, and now the Ahri starting to get ahead, and this is once again a full electrocute Ahri rather than the glacial that we generally see in competitive play.
Yeah, people deciding to go big or go home here on the Belong Arena Clash today. The Ahris are coming out with all of the damage. The Lost Chapter as quickly as possible. Charm is going to land onto Soft Thighs, taking a serious amount of damage, but Ramek is waiting in the wing, so is Worldstar. The 3 versus 1 dash away from charge number 1 of the Ahri ultimate. The Spirit dash used, safely getting the God Blaze to safety.
And not having to give up all that much, as the Spirit dash is just on such a high level in terms of escapability, not having to really do anything other than just press R and you're out of the fight. You never even have to worry about it. It's a good aggression tool, but it's so much better as a defensive tool.
Meanwhile, this roaming gang squad now makes its way into the bottom side, the jungle, the blue side jungle of the Nottingham Arrows, just as well for Ramos that he was not in that jungle at the time. Meanwhile, Solus is going to land the root straight down onto Zong, getting the Pop Blossom damage in as well. Is there enough damage here to finish off? The Zenith Blade goes straight down, and that's going to be something else going straight down. It's Zong, he's gone, and now we can see yet more turret plates being taken by this Demolished, but nuts to the Demolished. Let's demolish the Pyke. He dashes himself away, trying to get away from Worldstar's Jin Zhao. Instead, it's going to be turrets plating being taken for days by the Stratford Spartans here in the bot lane.
They have this pressure piling on. They have this kill pressure adding up. And someone who is going glacial is this Neeko, so she's only going to get more oppressive in terms of this pick pressure. She's going to be snowballing this Leona and the Xin Zhao massively to be able to get these picks and close the gap, just because they get all these extra slots.
Stun is going to land, but that can't stop a Ragnarocking Olaf. You know what can stop him? Ramek. He is 4-1-1 now, completes the solo kill despite the aggression from the Olaf. It was a step far too far.
And have you ever heard the phrase, death is the best CC? Because it seems to be the case here.
Yeah, if you can't disable Olaf in any way, disable him permanently by sending him back to the fountain.
And they're going to TP back into top lane as Olaf just wants to try and get any pressure, but being at 1 and 5, He's risking so much by being up here.
Bit of a bait potentially coming in because Rammus is present, manages to land the
Kiana.
taunt, and it's going to slow down that Aurelia, flashing away. There's Kiana trying to get the damage down, knocked back from the wall. It's absolutely beautiful. Soft thighs keeping the Aurelia alive. But can Kiana stay alive as well? Dashes over the wall. Ultimate Game Boy does have a flash available, doesn't need it, but uses it anyway, despite Ari coming over the wall, securing a kill. Let's see if she can dash herself forward, finding the Quinoa. Quinoa is no more. Double kill for the Ari. Perfectly timed roam. Now we're at 9 kills to 7. The gold lead is only 500 in favor of the Spartans.
And all the eggs fall into Ari's basket. She's 4-1. The bot lane is losing hard. The top lane is going to struggle to have an impact. It's all on her, especially when you see Vayne struggling like this.
Some of those eggs are absolutely being crushed for the Nottingham Arrows, though. Their basket is getting more and more empty. They tried to start with a Man Dragon, but it is not the best of timing. Pop Blossom comes down onto 2. Ultimate Gamer Boy gets removed by World Star, and we're going to see Pike taken down as well. Double kill makes the jungler 3-1-3 for the Stratford Spartans. They get a Mountain Dragon for their troubles as well.
Ari at least holds on to a shutdown is the only thing you can really say is a positive from that. As they lose the dragon, they lose so much, and they lose another 2 kills to this Neeko, who is snowballing ahead so quickly that I don't think the Vayne can hold her back.
I don't think she can either. Neeko looking absolutely awesome, knowing that she's got so much AD coming out of Aurelia, Xinjiao, and Kiana, happy to just take the full AP build and rain all that damage down upon the Vayne.
And Arrows here, they can't really do much to save Portsmouth from the fate of having to play that one more game potentially as a tiebreaker.
Oh, speaking of fate, Olaf's has been well and truly twisted. He gets ripped off the rift, and yet again, Aurelia getting a solo kill is going to go back and able to complete, well, almost. I was going to say complete Trinity Force, but that's not quite the extreme that we've got to yet. Instead, possibly looking towards getting towards that Sheen.
Instead just going to pick up pieces of the Triforce, but she's got the Sheen on top. She's got the Tiamat on top of the Phage, so she's got the ability to run Olaf down with this massive attack damage. It becomes really difficult to deal with. As we're seeing Kiana struggle in this 1v1 matchup mid.
Ari is doing her absolute best to keep the team in this game. The Nottingham Arrows are having to pin all their hopes on this mid laner. They need to stem the bleeding in the other lanes as well, though.
And stemming the bleeding is the necessity here, because the top lane is just not being covered at all, and it's not going to be too long before we see those shards start to add up once this Rift Herald goes down.
Well, the Herald is absolutely going to be in World Star's pocket in a moment. Meanwhile, we do see that the damage that is coming out of Neeko is amplified even more because she's got that GLP Hex Tech now. She's going to be able to throw down the Super Soaker, amplify that Glacial Augment, and things just continue to pile on top of the Nottingham Arrows that they do not want to deal with.
Meanwhile, he tries to get the knockback but doesn't quite land it.
Yeah, he dashes forward and immediately gets dashed upon because it is Ari who is constantly winning out in the trades in the mid lane. Our first Kiana game that we're seeing here at Belong Arena Clash may well be a winning game, but it's not necessarily a successful one, as we're not seeing that champion being put to its full use just yet. Meanwhile, however, one champion who is absolutely accelerated is the Aurelia. Has so much damage, but now needs to win a 2 versus 1 and is completely incapable of doing so. First turret does go down in the top lane in favor of the Spartans, but they lose their jungler and top for the during the process.
Yeah, he isn't quite able to execute. Misplays by landing 2 Qs on the same target, and one Q too many doesn't get the reset and ends up failing that one. But all the same, the fact that they get that tower bot lane, that tower top lane, and the second charge onto that top lane tier 2 opens this up completely for Stratford to then start to pressure out the mid lane, stop the Ari from having an impact, because their side lanes are just nowhere even savable.
3,000 gold lead pre-15 minutes, and here comes the Neeko again, consistently trying to put the damage down onto this Pike. Of course, Pike is a champion who's exceptionally elusive. You can take him down to a pretty low amount of health and he just heals it up as well, can go invisible as well. God, I hate that champion.
It does seem unfair, but at least they've changed it so the health that you get back scales with a ratio. Isn't quite as easy to just freely get as much healing. You have to level up your W quite a lot as well to increase it. So at least the changes have made him a bit less oppressive.
Which skill it tends to get maxed these days by Pike players? Is it still the Q into the E?
It's probably Q for cooldown and then E for stun duration, yeah.
Okay. That's what I assumed, but I was looking at the amount of health that Mighty Boosh was getting back there, and it felt too large for it to have been just at level 1. I could easily be wrong, though.
Well, he's got the lethality, which he does scale with quite well, so it definitely helps. And he doesn't have a big HP bar yet because he's not leveled up much.
Well, the Serrated Dirk is in the pocket for Mighty Boosh. He'll certainly be hoping to complete a Yumu's or a Rage Blade as quickly as possible as Nottingham Arrows continue to try and find themselves a way back into this game. Olaf took a few brave plays early on. They didn't come off against the Aurelia. However, with the help of the Rammus, he has started to win out in some fights.
And Solus now building towards the Spooky Ghosts, which is really the big item spike for him, where he gets to pop that on cooldown, start to try and make things happen around the map where the Xin Zhao and Leona can find the picks.
AD Assassin versus ADC and AD support. The pullback is there. Kiana trying to get the kill, but not going to be able to. Pike getting this one for himself, his second of the game. Meanwhile, the 3 versus 3 going on in mid lane. The pop blossom lands onto 2. Solus now on a killing spree. Xin Zhao is going to get taken down by the Olaf, and we've got the Pike arriving as well. Nico gets the second kill, but here comes the death from above. Managing to get the 1 kill. The reset is there. The second kill. That's 3 kills in quick succession for the Pike. He'll definitely be completing an item now.
And this game could go to game 3 potentially still, as Pike finding these kills, getting the assist gold, getting all that snowball back into the game. Look at how close it's made the gold from being around 3k down to now within 700.
It is a real turnaround. The Arrows finding those ways to get back into the game. Aurelia got to be so very, very careful here, because Lagod Blaze has got a lot of damage, but so does Aurelia, even though she hasn't completed that Trinity Force. The Orb is going to force the flash, however. That's nice plays from Lagod Blaze. Meanwhile, look at this bot lane duo. They tried this last time and got found out. This time, not so much. An Ocean Dragon secured. That's a second now, and that stacking definitely will help the Arrows.
It definitely helps, but all the same, it's still not really the most impactful dragon when the one that Stratford picked up is that mounted dragon.
Yeah, in comparison, definitely they're getting the poor end of the bargain.
Definitely so. Unfortunately here for the Quinoa, she's really struggling to have an impact. A 1-4-1 hasn't really landed the supreme displays of talent at the right time, and unfortunately only was able to save Aurelia for a short while in the top lane. Even then, she still died, and she died for it as well. So it's really becoming an issue where Ahri's just having a much larger impact.
One thing that can be said for the Arrows is they've now got 3 champions with 4 kills apiece. They've got the Olaf, they've got the Ahri, they've got the Pike. All of those champions with so much damage. But the one real hyper carry they have on their team, the Vayne, not a single kill to her name.
Yeah, and unfortunately, however, she is picking up some of the kill gold from the fact that Pike was killing people with his ultimate. That is going to definitely help her a lot, as this maybe could be seen as a 2-3-2.
Meanwhile, Lagod Blaze continuing the push here in the bot lane, getting some of that standing gold into the pocket. We do see multiple members of the Stratford Spartans continuing this push. They've not been able to break the outer turret in the mid lane.
And now
they've been able to break the turret in the mid lane.
Finally, the mid lane turret does go down, which means it's much easier to make these rotational plays. And then Nico is online. She needs to be utilizing this pretty much on cooldown with the Spooky Ghosts and the GLP to be able to find these picks. Because right now, they're the ones being picked off even when they've got this much of a lead.
Really nice crescent sweep there from Xin Zhao, getting himself out of trouble. Mighty Boosh starting to really show what he can do on this
I'm really worried, though, because from a 1-5 Olaf to now be 4-7-3, and only 1 level down, from previously in the game being 3 levels down, he shouldn't have been allowed to get this back into it this soon.
And that's a lot of credit as well to Ultimate Game Boy, who's really helped him out.
Definitely so. He's been counter-ganking, right place, right time, and like we said, it's just picking up enough camps to make himself relevant.
Well, the Baron is going to be on the table in 30 seconds time. We'll see which team is going to turn their attention to it first. Will we get ourselves a bit of a vision dance, or will one team decide to risk it all for one of the ultimate prizes?
I see Stratford as having a much better 5v5 comp at the minute, but they've got to be careful for the cleanup from a Pike and how much damage he's going to be able to do now he is this far ahead.
Well, let's see. Only time is going to tell for us, Sin, which team is going to be able to pick up that buff for themselves. It's the Nottingham Arrows who are currently setting a little bit of a trap, and if Xin Zhao steps forward perhaps to get a little bit of vision, he could find himself in trouble. He will be slowed down by taking away this fruit. It's Leona instead who finds that trap, but the charm goes wide, and the trap, the waiting, is all for nothing.
And it's going to take a long while before we can really see a team get full vision pressure right now, as unfortunately with the Dusk Blade from Pyke, even if they do have the wave push pressure, it's so easy for him to just walk mid and get pressure again, walk into the river and be able to clear out those extra wards because he's got the sweeper on top of that. So he's going to find it just that much easier to clean up when he's essentially got two of them.
We saw this earlier on when we had a Teemo in the game, and all of a sudden I think there were 5 sweepers for the opposition
It was
team.
4 and a blue trinket, yeah.
4 and a blue trinket, looking to clear out as much as they possibly could. The same is now happening to the Spartans. They are looking to get as much vision as possible.
And the Spartans now sitting at 1-0. Looking to pick this up as a clean 2-0, trying not to let this go to game 3. But the Pyke and the Ahri will not let them have it so easily.
Well, honestly, it's just become a waiting game. At this point, I'm just waiting for this one impactful moment. I feel like the next big team fight could be a deciding factor in this game, and I cannot wait for it to happen. Slotby spotted out by this ward, gets pulled back. The dash is good. The stun is there from the Pyke, forcing the flash over the wall. Qiyana now missing such a key summoner spell. The AD Assassin, with a massive amount of movement, now has 1 movement spell less.
But it's like you say, the next team fight could be the most crucial. As if you open it up like this by taking out somebody as impactful as the Neeko.
Solace being run down by the righteous Glory Olaf. The death from above comes in. This could be the big fight we're talking about. Solar Flare lands onto 2. The turnaround is good. Crescent Sweep from the Xin Zhao as he gets himself a double kill, taking out the Pyke, taking out the Olaf, but getting shut down by the Rammus. Meanwhile, Ahri taking a turret in the top lane, not able to help her team. Vayne just gets completely obliterated by Romek as he dashes onto the face of the ADC. Only Ultimate Game Boy and Le God Blaze remain for the Nottingham Arrows.
And it is a 3-for-2, but a 3-for-2 where Pyke picks up a kill. So what does that mean when you look at it in the long run? It's a win for the Nottingham Arrows. They end up playing 5v4 and getting an advantage off the back of it because of the extra kill gold. This is the problem now with playing against Pyke. If you get a 1-for-1 against them, but one of them is Pyke's ultimate as a kill, you lose the fight. Exactly.
So the dragon has spawned, and it's a 3rd Ocean Dragon. So many times, Sin, you've said to me, Ocean Dragon is blooming useless unless you get 3 of them.
Yeah, and 3 of them they will have, and what this means is if you disengage from a fight for slightly long enough, you heal back to full, and you get a good engage off again. So if you're playing a more poke-oriented comp where you can just go in and out, and you have the abilities to go in and out similar to an Ahri, that definitely gives you the ability to play around this much easier. And even a Pyke who has that innate healing in his passive as well, in and out of a fight is what the playstyle needs to be.
Oh, that's going to be the dashboard. Mighty Boosh using the flash, trying to get the stun down, not quite able to manage, however, and Ultimate Game Boy gets completely locked down. The Pop Blossom is going to pull all the damage in, and Worldstar takes down his fellow jungler. Meanwhile, the Zenith Blade is running in. We do see that supreme display of skill, and now Mighty Boosh picking up 3 kills. 4 kills. He's looking for the Penta, and he's not gonna get it because Le God Blaze steals it away. But Mighty Boosh just completely turned the fight on his head. It had all gone in favor of the Spartans until it didn't.
We go in game 3, boys. This has been a turnaround and a half. Now 9-2-2 on the Pyke. You can see what the ultimate does now, and you can't let this through draft. It's such an insane champion, even more so than it was before when it was being played top lane.
Absolute scenes there. For all I could see, the Stratford Spartans had won that fight. They got themselves 2 quick kills, but the next thing you know, well, sorry, they only got 1 quick kill in the end. The next thing you know, there goes Pyke, completely popping off, as they say.
What did we say not all that long ago? They've got the better 5v5 comp, but you have to be afraid of the Pyke cleanup. Pyke arrives near the end of the fight and pops the ultimate, suddenly gets 2 kills instantly with the kill, with the ultimate, and that gives so much gold. You think 4 kills there, yeah? You give 600 bonus gold for each of those kills.
And all of that leads to a 6,000 gold in favour of the Nottingham Arrows.
Yes, because that fight, if you include the kill gold, potential shutdown gold, the Baron's 1.5k. Just the Pyke empowered gold is 2.5k. All the 5 kills, another 1.5k. That fight is huge for the Arrows.
The question is, how much do they realise it? How much do the Stratford Spartans realise it? We get this lovely graphic on the screen that says 6,000 gold is the lead for the Nottingham Arrows right now. But what they're seeing in game is they're seeing equal turrets. They're seeing fairly equal CS numbers. In fact, advantages for some of the Spartans. They're seeing only 1 kill difference. Do the Nottingham Arrows right now, apart from having the Baron buff, really realise just how much of a lead they've got?
Unfortunately, I don't think they will, because they have to be afraid of fighting now with a Pyke ultimate this strong that can pretty much one-shot anyone.
Well, one thing that is also going to play into the favour of Nottingham Arrows, they've got that Baron buff, they've also got the 3 Ocean Dragons. If you're going to be in a situation where you're sieging and you're looking to try and take down turrets, having that buff, that amplified buff, surely has got to be helpful.
It definitely adds to the ability to back off from sieges and heal up, but they would trade any of these 3 dragons for a mountain dragon in a heartbeat.
Well, they might not be able to do that, but they are going to be able to get themselves a free kill. Kiana now 1, 6, and 5 on her Belong Arena Clash debut.
Well, let's go game 3, as it seems, and it means that Portsmouth might just make it into playoffs after all.
Well, that is entirely possible still with the way that this group stands. It is the tightest, most tightly contested of all of the groups, I believe, here at Belong Arena Clash, especially with the 1 game still to be played, bonus on top of it. Meanwhile, Olaf is continuing this push with the Baron buff. He is about to find Worldstar jumping towards him, but no Audacious Charge today. Instead, we can see LeGod Blaze continuing the push, has been split pushing for so much of this game, has taken so much standing gold all by herself.
This is whereas Wilco and Zong, you just have to put in the chat TY for carry, because the Pyke and the Ahri and the Rammus have all been playing out of their minds in this game. The Pyke finding kill after kill, the Ahri playing mid-game and mid-lane so effectively, and the Rammus everywhere he needed to be on the map to even out this game and not allow that top lane to get completely out of control.
Oh, I agree with you, but the top lane is where we see the next fight. But again, that Rammus is so very tanky, he's able to just step away. I do agree that Wilco will be appreciating the carry he's got from the 3 that you mentioned, but I want to give him a special shout out as well, because he could so easily have got massively tilted those 3 early ganks. And he kept his head, he stayed relevant, now he's got himself killed, now he's in this massive fight, the Righteous Glory is going to pop, and Worldstar is having to flash himself out of the fight, the Vanguard's edge thrown down, the Soft Eye is able to pick up a kill on the Kiana, but look at Olaf in return, taking down the Xin Zhao. Aurelia able to pick off Olaf, but while this is all happening, Inhibitor turret number 1 will fall, number 2 will fall in the bot lane. There are now 2 exposed inhibitors, the Nottingham Arrows ripping apart the Stratford Spartans base.
And that does give them the window back into the game, though, because they find the kills, they engage on the weak side. This is what you do against the 1-3-1. You collapse on one of the flanks, and you have to kill them quickly and efficiently. They do just that. They find a window to deny the siege, and they don't give up a single inhibitor off the back of this Baron.
Meanwhile, LeGod Blaze and crew will get themselves their 4th dragon of the game. They're still cursing the RNG that they didn't get the mountain, instead getting a Cloud Drake to go with their 3 oceans.
Well, it's not quite Earth, Wind, and Fire, but they're going to get the 3 oceans instead. And this is really
Earth, Wind, and Grass, right?
It's a bit unfortunate, because you'd much rather have any of those combination of 3, but the oceans do provide something, like we've been trying to allude to. It just hurts so much when the RNG's gods do not smile down upon you, and you are left with your opponent getting 1 dragon in the game, and it's the 1 mountain dragon.
Yeah, it does also mean that if the Stratford Spartans were to take a big fight, even though there are still so many structures left of the Nottingham Arrows base, this game could still flip in an instant.
And that's very much true, because if 1 fight goes wrong in Nottingham Arrows, say the Pyke messes up his first ultimate, he misses, it gets flashed, then suddenly a lot of his power is gone, and there are windows for the Nico to land a huge ultimate, for the Aurelia to start cleaning up on the backside, but you can't really play fight slowly against the Pyke.
The waiting game, the warding game has come to an end. Mighty Boosh catches out the Xin Zhao, and Worldstar is sent to a quick and early grave. That is going to be the first kill of this game for the Vayne, who is slowly becoming a little bit more of a threat. The Rage Blade completed, the Blade of the Rune King is there, Zeal as well, and now we're going to see an inhibitor turret pushed, an inhibitor pushed down towards. Don't need a minion wave because the inhibitor turret has already gone. Olaf just steps straight forward and starts swinging those axes.
And the pressure he's got is mounting, because he may have not had an impact early, but he is even, if not ahead, on items of the Aurelia at this point. He has well and truly caught up, and his team is going to clean up this game too.
World Star and just is it popping? Dying is going to lead to 2 inhibitors falling, 1 per player that is dead. The second Baron of the game has spawned, and this could be where the Nottingham Arrows turn their attention right now. World Star has respawned, but he will be flashless if he attempts to contest.
And you have to start thinking about where this game went wrong and what you can do in the next game, and it was mostly fine other than the mid lane and the Kiana not being executed to perfection until that Pyke play. So do you just have to ban Pyke? Maybe. You have to play far cleaner than just walking in blindly.
I've seen this story before, but this time it's got a Pop Blossom with it. Olaf again taking down the Xin Zhao, and again Kiana removed from the fight. We see Aurelia doing everything she possibly can, but it just is not enough. The ace completed. The Stratford Spartans obliterated. The Nottingham Arrows taking us 1 game all to a best of 3 deciding game going to be coming your way very, very shortly here on the Belong Arena Clash. The last day of group stages proving to be an exciting one. The Nottingham Arrows will be delighted to have turned this game around, having looked like they were going to be 2-0'd. Now they have the chance to take the series.
And it is off the back of the mid and support, as we know already after this game who our player of the week's going to be, unless we see something spectacular.
You are absolutely right. It's going to be Mighty Boosh. That is done and dusted, unless, as you say, something truly phenomenal happens. Really, really great plays coming in, and that is going to be us going to Game 3 in this series. It's well and truly deserved. We didn't get to see Game 1, so we get to showcase 2 fantastic games between these teams.
And I'm glad we do, because this is a really exciting Game 1, and then this was a really exciting first game for us, and we can look at this as at least the best of 2, maybe even Nottingham trying to pull out a 2-0. This could be amazing for them, but all the same, Stratford, we'll have to check in with one of our with production quickly on what this means for the tiebreaker, and if this means that they are now locked out of playoffs from losing this game, or if this last game will likely be a decider.
Well, we'll be bringing that to you as quickly as we can, as soon as we get confirmation of exactly what this means, not just for the Portsmouth Pirates, but also, of course, for the Stratford Spartans, for the Arrows themselves. Meanwhile, we are straight into Game 3. Don't you just love to see that? Hecarim and Caitlyn, Yumi and Sivir all banned away.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that Pyke is banned away, if they're going to let that slip through the draft yet again, because it was so impactful last time around.
It was indeed. Once again, the Shyvana ban coming in. We don't know whether or not this is, of course, the order that things were actually banned out in the game. The Ahri has now been taken away from Legod Blaze, and considering that he played Legod-like in that game, I think that is fair enough.
Definitely want to take that one away, as we're going to see a Renekton versus the Kennen in the top lane. Renekton does have the ability to win out if he gets a lot of jungle attention, but otherwise Kennen's going to be using that range advantage to force him off of the waves. And wow, that's a Volibear and Yasuo.
Wow, flip in to the last breath.
This is such an intense game. Yasuo versus Riven in mid lane. And you got a Volibear who has 2 knockups. He has the Q knockup and he has the micro knockup on his E. That micro knockup in a 2v2 is enough to proc Yasuo.
Wow, honestly, I'm so excited just to see the champions on the board here. Last time we got to see a Rammus. This time we're seeing a Volibear. It's being paired up with a Yasuo. There's a Riven, a Kali's band. It's the last day of the group stages, and it's all just a little bit intense.
Even banning a Rammus there just to make sure that he didn't have that kind of impact on that champion, but he falls back to the Volibear. This seems like a very Trick 2G kind of champion pool with Rammus and Volibear in the pool.
Xayah picked up. I would be surprised to not see that paired up with Rakan. The Pyke getting through the bans means that is most likely what we're going to see paired up with the Vayne. You can't see Mighty Boosh not playing it. You're seeing Mighty Boosh not playing it. He's playing Braum.
Okay, so this is the interesting Xayah Rakan bot lane into Vayne Braum. Xayah struggles into Braum. He can block the feathers on the way out. He can block the feathers on the way back in. It means it's a lot harder to get control of the wave, because what you want to do is put the feathers down and set up a recall on them to get the root. If he doesn't get the feathers through the wave in the first place, not only does his wave clear get destroyed, but he doesn't have control of the lane anymore.
Okay, so definitely going to be a difficult one for Solis to have to deal with, this time playing an ADC rather than the Nico we saw in the last game. He had a really strong start to that game, but it felt like he fell off pretty hard as the game went further and further.
So I want to look down this composition, and we can see a really nice looking team fighting comp that can win out 1v1s, because the Yasuo, he wants to get to a point where he can beat Riven in 1v1. Renekton wants to get to a point where he can beat Kennen in the 1v1, and obviously Vayne, we know she's one of the best 1v1 AD carries in the game. But you put them all together, and what does it look like as a team fight? It looks like Volibear and Braum trying to set up a Yasuo as best they can, because there's no dedicated tank on the other side. If the Yasuo gets off a big ultimate around that 2-item spike point of the game, where the Vayne perhaps has like a Blade of the Rune King plus, I'm not sure if you still want to build Guinsoo's, but a crit item on top of that really adds up. You can start to get really strong at that point in the game at 2 items, and that's where they need to blow this one up. That's the one where they need to blow this wide open, between that level 9 and 11 mark.
Well, sadly, Sin, we didn't get to see Game 1. We didn't get to see the Stratford Spartans picking up their win in this series, but we did just see Game 2. And based on what we saw there, based on the performance of those teams and the drafts that are coming in, who are you favouring? Which side has balance? Which side are things gone in favour of, or is this completely balanced?
This isn't quite balanced, unfortunately, in my opinion. And even though Riven can be a bit abusable in mid lane, the overall comp they've got with the Rakan Jarvan engage to facilitate a Kennen, and then the Riven potentially shredding apart people afterwards, there's a lot of team fight pressure, and instead they're actually lane swapping to a point where they're putting the Kennen versus the Renekton mid lane, because Renekton versus Riven is one of the biggest counter matchups in the game.
That's a really interesting one. So that does mean that Renekton is going to be able to get the counter matchup, not the counter matchup that he wanted. Meanwhile, we saw this last week. We saw the early plays coming in. We saw the early heal, the early ignite, the early first blood. ADC Solace does his work. The man's got ADC Solace in his name. Put him on an ADC and he will deliver a first blood.
And that is the early engage pressure of Azaya Rakan. We told people last week that you have to be wary when playing against them of that bot lane brush, the Tri brush or the furthest up bot lane brush, because that's where Rakan's going to use his W from. You need a ward in there early. You need the Braum to walk in front of you, because otherwise that just happens. And you see how detrimental this is going to be to the laning phase. They've already lost so much control.
The wonderful folks over at Production have given us an update in regards to what that last game win for the Nottingham Arrows means for the Stratford Spartans going forward. They essentially had one life that they could use, and they have now burnt that life. If they lose another game, they have got no chance of making the playoffs. They must pick up this win against the Nottingham Arrows and then perform as well when they go into their next matchup.
Yeah, backs against the wall. They need to win this. This was their one life, and they let it slip with those pike plays. They can't let it happen again. And with a Kennen mid lane, on a wing and a prayer and on a Kennen mid, it is.
Oh, that well-known song. So, meanwhile, Mighty Boosh taking a lot of harass. Of course, that first blood that went over the Stratford Spartans also burned so many summon spells, all the defensive summon spells of the Nottingham Arrows bot lane, and the Stratford Spartans just continuing to harass. Only 5 CS picked up by the Vayne so far.
The thing that Stratford really have to be careful of here, though, is they've got a nice matchup for both Riven and Yasuo, Riven into Yasuo and Kennen into Renekton so far. But if you get to flex on them later on because you have a winning side lane, and you get to decide the lane matchups because you have a tempo advantage, if you're throwing the Renekton into the Riven, that's a really awkward position for Soft Thighs to be in, where he loses so hard in that 1v1. Even worse, now that they added the shield removal to Renekton to win that matchup even further.
For the first time, we saw a little bit of jungle pressure being put down, but the damage that Kennen had put down onto the Renekton was enough to zone off the Volibear, and look at the continued damage being put down. We do see Wilku just taking so much of this aggro from Ramek.
And Wildstar, in the meantime, is able to just scout him out and get control of this jungle, but he's still losing out as he had to base early. The Volibear right now, I'm loving what he's been able to do in terms of just farming up. He's farming better than the Jarvan, and he's keeping up the pressure by having the ability to just walk into mid lane and zone off the Kennen from being able to kill that Renekton, as he was so ready to do.
Braum is a mighty tanky boy, but when those feathers rip through...
Here we go. This is the lane swap we talked about.
It's going to mean pretty bad timings for him. Renekton is now going to get to go up against the Riven. We'll see just whether or not Stratford Spartans decide to opt to get their original top laner back into the top lane on the back of this.
Yeah, they want to try and force him out as quickly as possible. That's why they're sending the Jarvan here, because this is a winning matchup for both Jarvan and the Renekton, because Jarvan gets to use his spell shield, his wind wall rather, to block out the damage from a Kennen. and the Renekton wins so hard against the Riven.
So Yasuo definitely getting some advantages there. Meanwhile, the CS lead that has been built up is a significant one. That was between Yasuo and Riven originally. Now he's lining up against the Kennen, and the advantage continues with that extra dagger in his pocket for good measure.
And you can see already the kind of pressure that Renekton has on Riven, where he's forcing him to back off, forcing jungle pressure already into the top side.
So, what do you make of the start of this game? Nottingham Arrows finding themselves slightly down on gold, just the 700, basically on the back of the first blood. But I really like the rotations they've made. The fact we've now got this Renekton against the Riven.
Yeah, the Renekton is winning out, and they're going to notice that they have to try and swap this back as soon as possible, because what you generally want to do at this point, if you are in this kind of negative lane, you can't just make them both recall, because then they're fully aware of what you're doing. Instead, what you have to do is play around effectively, where you get Kennen to recall. Kennen just walks topside, tries to get a lane gank off, where you try and kill Renekton in the 2v2, and then you get to the side lane matchups.
And then Soft Thighs has got the teleport as well, so can try and make some kind of counter if that's what happens. We'll see how many times that actually happens across the course of this game. Definitely won't make things easy to keep track of people, but we can keep track right now of Volibear. He's happily chomping away at this Mountain Dragon. And in the last game, the Nottingham Arrows were disappointed not to get themselves a Mountain Dragon. This time they strike early and get it for themselves.
Yeah, and the early strike, getting a Mountain Dragon this time, not letting the Ocean Dragons dictate this game early on, and instead get a snowball with that choice. But all the same, they have a very short range composition that is difficult to siege with. If they want to siege, they have to win fights hard. On the opposing side for Stratford, they have the longer range AD carry. They have the range top laner. It's that much easier for them to siege up.
Big plays happening down the bot lane. We do see Jarvan join the fight. Solis already picking up the kill onto Zong. That is going to be the Vayne removed from the fight. Meanwhile, Renton tried to help out the ADC, but was just too late, and now getting forced back by the 3 people of the Stratford Spartans. They've got all the kills in this game so far, and they've all gone onto Solis.
And Solis having this gold lead for himself that is just proving detrimental to Zong here, where he's not really having any kind of control. It's really interesting, however, that they got the first dragon, given the fact that they've been losing bot lane so hard. The bot lane generally wants to be utilizing that one on their own, but Worldstars had to go top lane so often that he's not been able to. There's a problem having to flash.
He's pushing so far forward without the support of his ADC, unsure what he was doing there, getting completely caught out, losing that summoner spell. Speaking of summoner spells, what did you make of that teleport? I felt like I liked the idea of what Wilku was trying to achieve, but the second Jarvan showed up, it was really big trouble for the Arrows.
Yeah, without Ultimate Game Boy being there in the 3v2, it was just too difficult to really take that fight. Jarvan instantly gets the kill, and that's already too little too late, as the Vayne just doesn't have any damage yet. You can see how far down she is in gold. Vampiric Scepter into BF Sword Coolfelds.
Removed from the fight so very early. Meanwhile, we do see the return as Renekton is going to go back up against the Riven. So no switcheroos being done this time. Sophi staying up in the top lane where he started the game.
Yeah, are happy because they know they're winning out the bot side. They don't need to focus on dictating their entire map pressure around what the top and mid are doing. The jungle doesn't have to commit so many resources there, and can instead just focus on snowballing these two.
Quickness and flash, that's going to be a double charm. Meanwhile, the flag and drag is enough to knock up the Crocodile. Flash away from the Cataclysm is inch perfect from Wilku, and he's got support. The flip being used onto Worldstar. He now flashes himself away, trying to get away from the Thunderclaw. Riven joining the fight as well, taking down the taking down the Volibear. It's going to be a really, really tight one now, though. Can Wilku turn around? Can he get the 2v1? He's still got dominance, and with one slice, he dices through those oppositions, and it's going to be a shut down in the bot lane as well, because Zong manages to take down the Xayah. It was Braum dying first, but overall, a 3-for-1 across the map. The Nottingham Arrows coming up big.
And Wilku, he turns it around right at the end, just as it looks desperate. He stacks up the Fury for long enough to be able to get that heal, to be able to get the empowered damage. And that is going to be a 2-for-1 on the top side, and a massively winning fight on the bottom side.
It's really just what the Arrows needed to get themselves back into the game, and really what the Stratford Spartans did not need, considering they're on this push to try and get out of the group stage.
The thing is, I said massively winning. You may look at it as a 1-for-1, but that's a situation where the Xayah's 2-0, and the Vayne not only gets the kill, but lives the fight to continue controlling the wave afterwards. That is far better than you should be doing in that situation. Massive win for the side of Nottingham Arrows. Now we can see, now we can see the fact that this bot lane still has the CS lead, still up like 25 CS, still pushing in, but Vayne struggling.
Yeah, apologies there. Just a small disconnect on my part. Can you still hear me, Sin?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Ah, good stuff.
I thought it was me for a moment, so yeah.
It may have been. I don't know. But what I do know is that 3 kills that is on the Xayah, despite her getting shut down, are just so instrumental to the fact that she's able to continuously push in this Vayne. Soft Thighs, however, looking for the fight, throwing down that blade. The exiled queen that is Riven, getting a nice kill up in the top lane. You can put the mid laner in the top lane, but he will still do damage if you give him this AD champion. Meanwhile, look at what we are seeing happening in the bot lane. That's going to be the Cataclysm. The knockback is good, condemning the Jarvan against the wall, but it's not enough to save the life of Zong. Worldstar getting that kill. The damage is now put onto Mighty Boosh, but there is not enough as Braum gets to the safety of his turret.
And with the bot lane falling this far down, with the top lane struggling, a lot more falls onto the shoulders of Lagod Blaze. And similar to last game, it's looking to all be on him to help turn this one. It needs to be some big knockups, some big turnaround fights to end up giving him those big ultimates to win this one out.
Fights in mid and in the bot lane as well. Yasuo continuously pushing down, manages to get the last breath down, but the turret shots are landing. The flash is good, the slicing maelstrom is there, but Lagod Blaze escapes with his life and a kill in his pocket as well. Infernal Dragon looking likely to go to Stratford Spartans, however, they continued their dominance in the bot lane.
Thriving under the pressure as he gets his first kill, and now Romek needs to get some tank stats for himself. He needs to build towards that Zhonya's Hourglass to help him survive the 1v1.
Ultimate Game Boy there, very, very nearly managing to steal away the dragon at the last second. I do believe he got the smite in, but Worldstar was just about able to secure that one for the Stratford Spartans. They get the Infernal Dragon, trying to balance out the Mountain Dragon that had been got by the arrows earlier in the game.
And that is going to help definitely as this top lane matchup, though. You have to look at the Riven versus Renekton as the matchup that has to affect most, as giving her the extra AD to win this one out is crucial. And this is a stat check matchup. Now the Renekton isn't winning out like he should be. The stat check is falling in favor of Riven.
And Riven, going up against this Renekton, getting a significant CS advantage, but the same can be said for Yasuo up against the Kennen. He has been able to make the better of the matchup that you were talking about earlier on, not only getting the solo kill, but a 30 CS lead as well.
Yeah, having that pressure that we talked about, this is a winning matchup for the Yasuo. And even though Renekton's struggling, it's still worth having these lane assignments because it's still winning harder for the Yasuo than it's losing for the Renekton.
We did just see the Kennen getting a good bit of damage onto Yasuo, but it's worth noting that the stopwatch is now well and truly broken for Romek. He has, however, got the Slicing Maelstrom available. That's the last breath being used. The God Blaze immediately flashing on the back of it, however, and able to keep himself safe once more. Here come the bot lane of the Nottingham Arrows. Cataclysm used onto the God Blaze, just trying to get himself to safety, but Worldstar gets condemned into the wall. Worldstar gets taken out. The flag, the drag, the final silver bolt goes across the wall, flying through the heart of the Demacian Prince. He drops down, and a second kill is gained by the Vayne.
And Lagod Blaze, he is not letting this game slip away at all. The moment his team needs him, he starts playing like Lagod himself.
Vayne immediately turns her attention towards the bot lane, but gets charmed up. Braum arrives with the shield, trying to keep his ADC safe. Throws the Glacial Fissure, gets the knock-up onto 2. Lagod Blaze joins the fight as well. He's in with a kill. Now we just need to see if the Silver Bolts are going to proc, if it's going to be another kill. Zong now 3-3-1. Had such a slow start, but is coming up big now.
And this roaming death squad goes from mid lane, getting multiple kills down into that bot side. And even though they're likely to lose first tower to this Rift Herald, they get the kills onto the Yasuo, they get the Vayne back into it, and they are not too far from a teamfight victory.
Yeah, the arrows there, they gain themselves a first turret as well.
On the flank.
The Exile and the Wind Slash being used by Riven, however, she now needs to turn to try and stop the Herald from getting the charge onto the second turret. Another turret will fall in the bot lane. That's 2-0 in favour of the Nottingham Arrows. They have just got themselves a 100 gold lead. That's so very, very close.
And now, they get the tower. They get the tower for themselves in the top side. They are ahead on gold, but that's the standing gold on the map still available for the side of Stratford Spartans to try and even this out. If they get even a play going slightly in their favor, they're going to get that bot lane tower. The gold is going to swing rapidly towards them because of the standing gold on the map. And you have to still be wary of the team fight pressure when you have a Kennen, when you have a Rakan. The AoE is there, and you have the lockdown of a Cataclysm as well. And that just empowers the Xayah and the Riven even further.
Sin, two things about this game are the same, and two things are very, very different. The things that are the same is, yet again, we've got Soft Eyes on an AD Assassin. Yet again, we've got Zong on the Vayne. And I'll bring you the end of that thought in a moment, because right now Cataclysm has been locked down onto Lagard, and it is going to be Romek able to pick up a kill on the Kennen for the first time in this game, and now push towards the mid lane with all 5 members of the Stratford Spartans. The thing that's different, Sin, is that in this one, Soft Eyes is on the Riven instead of the Kiana, and doing an absolutely fantastic job. Zong this time has got kills in the early game. No, hasn't got extra gold being funneled to her by Pyke, but has already got relevant in and of herself.
Yeah, really struggled last time around. This time, having a bit of a better luck for herself, but all the same, this Yasuo is still the one that the pressure is on. And similar to the Ahri last time around, we saw that he thrived under that pressure. Can he do it again? Because we've seen some real nice play from him so far. He needs to find these big ultimates. He needs to find these team fight altering plays.
One thing is for certain, these teams love to fight. In the last game, we saw lots and lots of quick kills. In this one, we've seen almost as many kills as we have minutes of the game. 16 minutes in, 15 kills already on the scoreboard.
In Stratford, though, we have to mention their backs are against the wall. If they lose this game, they are out of the playoff race. So even though Nottingham Arrows may just be playing spoiler, they're doing it pretty nicely.
They certainly are doing everything that they can to help out the Portsmouth Pirates, to try and get the Portsmouth Pirates. I don't believe there's ever been a time the Pirates have not made it to the playoffs. That could
even
all
the one
change
season
if
they
stuff-
didn't win finals. They made it to finals.
They were in the final up against the Clyde Claymores. Now we can see quickness once again being channeled. Glacial Fisher will stop. Is it popping for now? He has been sent to the back of the queue as we see a disengage coming out of Nottingham Arrows. This is all around a second Mountain Dragon that spawned.
And this Mountain Dragon is one key objective to fight over. As giving over this one would give a team a key access to the Baron.
Kennen looking for the flag, the drag, the Cataclysm on top of Zong. Here comes the slicing Maelstrom, ripping through multiple members, and Solus has got 2 kills. Softfire's got 2 as well. The ace will be completed. 1 goes down, but it's only the Rakan. In the end, 2 kills for Xayah, 2 kills for Riven, 1 kill for Jarvan, 1 Mountain Dragon for the Stratford Spartans, and an ace for the Spartans.
And when we're talking about AoE damage for this team, you'd think we're talking about Romek. No, it's Solus and Soft Eyes showing up massively in that fight. AoE damage out the wazoo, and they get a huge, huge team fight that is crucial to this team's victory. If they win now, it's because of that play.
That was such beautiful timing. One saving grace for the Arrows is they get aced, yes, but only 18 minutes on the clock, so the Baron not available just yet. One of those structures we were talking about earlier goes over to the Spartans. Now they do have a 4,000 gold lead.
This lead is pretty rough to deal with, especially when you are now playing against a team fighting comp who has all these AoE spells. Like we're saying, they want to layer the CC on top of each other.
So what happens next in this game of back and forwards? That big fight, of course, won by the Spartans. You've got to think that the Nottingham Arrows aren't going to want to buy into any of those anytime soon.
You don't really want to fight any key objective right now unless you can find an outnumbered situation, because this Riven is so strong, and you can see it right here.
This is the duel I wanted to see, but it's not the duel the God Blaze wanted to be part of. Soft Thighs completely obliterating the other ADC champion on the map. Yasuo is no more. Riven completely dominating this entire rift at the moment.
And Zong is trying to just lead in topside to pick up anything, but the Riven now 5-1 and 4, having this 30% CDR spike, looking so far ahead that she can 1v1 anybody. How do you deal with her on this bot side of the map?
I'm not sure you do. Ultimate Game Boy is the next one who's attempting to do something about it, but loses so much of his tanky health bar just by stepping forward and taking a couple of skill shots. Meanwhile, Turret goes down the top lane. The rotation's so very good from the Stratford Spartans right now.
And he breaks through the Aftershock and is still up on health at the same time.
Oh, Renneton decides he wants a part of the fight. He went up in the duel earlier on, deciding to opt into this matchup, but this time he has been destroyed by Softfire, who's now 6-1-4. Dashing forward onto the God Blaze. Will this fight continue? The answer is absolutely yes. The last breath of Yasuo may well be his last breath, because the Wind Slash has already gone through Yas's health bar, ripped it to smithereens. Softfire's winning out in a 2 versus 1. Meanwhile, look at Worldstar with the Cataclysm, but now he's locked that Volibear in with all his carries, but on the outside, the slicing Maelstrom of Romek helps Solace to get a double kill. That's all the feathers, all the time, all the damage, all the kills, and now a Baron buff for the Stratford Spartans.
Stratford may be on their last life, but they're not ready to see the game over screen just yet. And they keep fighting back, even though they were shut out for a while this game, even though the Renekton matchup was winning, the Yasuo matchup was winning, and they were even losing some plays on bot side. This game has turned so very quickly back towards what we saw in those earlier stages. The Xayah, the Riven, they're too much to bear.
They are 7-2-4 and 7-1-4 respectively, Sim. A massive 14-3-8 combined scoreline.
And this is just unstoppable, you have to say. The only thing that's really stopping Riven from just killing them over and over again is tower damage.
Well, this is going to be Wilku opting in, knowing that he's got Braum for support. Softfires is sent running. The potential for the turn is still here. Softfires does have the ultimate available. Is going to get the sun down.
Oh my god.
Down, and in a straight out 2 versus 1, Softfires straight out wins. Mighty Boosh will be the second to fall. The double kill for the Riven, as easy as you like.
And she is still sitting on a ton of gold as well. She's still got so much to spend, and she's just going to get this tower for free. No one can stop her. Like we keep saying here, this is unstoppable. They're too strong. That one fight in the mid lane has opened this map up entirely and give them such a gold lead that it's insurmountable.
The Baron buff empowered team just pushing forward and taking absolutely everything they want. And with Softfires on Riven, can you blame them? One inhibitor already fallen, a wave soon to crash into the top side along with Kennen. Softfires just consistently looking for the fights, looking to outdo Solace's KDA in this game, and doing a damn good job of it as well.
Yeah, but they broke the inhibitor in mid lane, but they're not splitting the use of this Baron buff. They're not spreading them thin enough, so they're able to just 5-man defend this top side as they all have to recall.
Teleport is available for Softfires. He's recalled. However, now he might be able to rejoin the fight. The slicing Nelson already ripping through the health bar. Solace already killing off Renekton. Now here comes Softfires. He doesn't want Solace getting more kills than him today, and he absolutely won't. The triple kill is stolen away because Worldstar takes out Zong, but that's going to be the ace. That's going to be the game. 11-1-5 on Softfires. You have beaten Solace's 9-2-7 on the Xayah, and you have beaten the Nottingham Arrows. You have given the Stratford Spartans a chance of life in this competition. The Belong Arena clash is not over for the Spartans yet. They still are on their last life, and this is the Nexus exploding, signifying that it will all come down to the Stratford Spartans' final best of 3.
And it's all off of that mid-game fight where we saw them layer all the abilities together just outside Baron. And we talked about, even though the game started slipping away, they still had the ability to get all those AoE ultimates together. They could find all the damage together, and they did just that. The Riven showed up huge. The Xayah, I was terrified the amount of damage the Xayah did in that fight. And then it just gave the space for the Riven to then style on people in the side lane.
And style on them they did. Softfires producing the sort of performance that I'm sure she could only dream to have performing on the Qiyana in the last game. Meanwhile, however, this is the conclusion of the series because that is a 2-1 win for the Stratford Spartans. Their hopes of playoffs are still alive. The Portsmouth Pirates still have a reason to be concerned.
Yeah, and this is a scary team when they do turn themselves on, but they do make those mistakes like we talked about. They have those lulls in the game where they're not quite playing the map the way they should be. And there is punishable windows, which we saw in Game 2, but that Game 3 was pretty clean nonetheless.
Well, that brings to a close our plays for tonight. Would you like to call an MVP in that last series?
I mean, it's hard to look past Softfires on the Riven at all.
It's hard to look past Softfires, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, like I get to see more of Softfires in this tournament. I'm happy about that. So
Softfires with the MVP.
MVP of the day for that one game, previous game, if you include the series, because we didn't get to see game one, I have to only do game rather than series. So we'd get that game to Soft Eyes. But after the game 2 performance, I would not ever give series to him, unfortunately.
That is completely fair. The series completed. The stream for tonight also completed. It has been great fun doing these group stages, but the next time you see myself and the wonderful man to my right on stream, we will be united together at the studios to bring you the playoffs in their entirety. For tonight, however, this has been the conclusion of the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends stream, brought to you by the wonderful people over from Plantronics and Rig. My name is Stanley Greyheart Barker. Once again, I've been joined by Stuart Sin McLeod. Good night.